Hello friends, this is your friend back with a new fanfic. What if Naruto became the Fox Sage, and Hinata, Anko and Kurotsuchi chose him over everything else? Episode 3. If you like this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, the legend of the Fox Sage is spreading across the Shinobi world, and powerful enemies are beginning to move against Naruto before his true potential fully awakens. Now, let's start. The air was tense, a mist covering the bridge as death seemed to fill the air. Kakashi and Zabuza held their gaze with the genin looking at Haku through his mask. Sasuke, you hold off the hunter nin. Kakashi ordered. Sakura, protect the bridge builder. I will take on Zabuza. TCH, whatever, muttered Sasuke, crossing his arms. Don't mess up, whispered Sakura with a frown. If we fail, then Naruto-kun will fail. She thought in fear. Will you shut up about your crazy fangirl obsession? Sasuke yelled before Sakura slapped him and focused on the two nin ahead of them. Ah, look at the children pretending to be ninja. Zabuza rolled his eyes. Haku, when you kill them, go right for the bridge builder, Kakashi's mine. The masked ninja nodded and ran off towards them, with Sasuke doing the same as Kakashi and Zabuza vanished from their spots. I will show you the power of the Uchiha, Sasuke yelled, throwing shuriken. Haku responded with Senbon that knocked them off course while one or two scratched Sasuke's shoulders. Ah! Sasuke flinched at the slashes, growing as he pulled out his kunai. When they got close, he swung his kunai, which met a Senbon Haku held, and surprisingly the needle didn't break. Come on Sasuke, think. The black-haired teen thought as he pushed against the Senbon with all his strength, when suddenly his opponent began to flash through hand signs with one hand. What? How can he use hand signs with one hand? That's not possible. Sasuke thought in disbelief, quickly jumping out of the way to avoid a water jutsu, but what he didn't expect was Haku stamping her foot down AF, making the water splash up before they froze into hundreds of needles. What? Sasuke gasped, jumping back and backflipping to dodge the needles. Impressive speed, but it won't save you for long. Haku mocked, her tone being the only way you could tell how she felt. Ice. How? Sasuke glared. It's my Kekkei Genkei, I was born with this ability. Haku explained, I am able to combine wind and water to perform ice techniques, a lethal ability. So I recommend you stay down. Do not underestimate the Uchiha. Sasuke growled, quickly flashing through hand signs and firing a fireball. You're too prideful. Haku frowned, I cannot believe a child like you is a ninja. She jumped to the side while going through one-handed hand signs again before Sasuke had time to send another. What's he doing? Sakura frowned before seeing dozens of ice mirrors forming around the two. Oh god. How? What is going on? Sasuke gasped, feeling agitated. This is the end. Haku slowly went into one of the mirrors with reflections appearing on each one. The mirrors of ice had formed a dome around Sasuke, very small gaps between each piece with no way out. He looked around while we see Zabuza and Kakashi clashing and trying to one-up the other, but he could not get a clear view from the gaps between the mirrors. Which one are you? Sasuke yelled at the mirrors, where are you? All of them. The mysterious ninja said, running through the mirrors. I will kill you. Sasuke growled and ran at a random one and tossed shuriken at it. The shuriken hit the mirror and bounced off harmlessly, covered in a small layer of ice. Futile. Haku held up Senbon in one hand before throwing them, but it felt like several hit him from behind to the Uchiha. The raven-haired teen yelled in pain, falling to a knee in pain. How did he do that? Sasuke thought as he stood up. Looking around, he saw images of the masked ninja in all of them, each image holding several Senbon. This time I'll see him and catch the bastard. Sasuke thought, preparing for a fire blast, but once again Senbon went flying, and this time from the front. Sasuke's eyes widened as he tried to dodge, failing miserably, which led to Senbon his arms. His eyes widened as his arms suddenly turned limp, unable to move. With Zabuza, he ducked under Kakashi's swing and kicked him in the gut. I'm not going to fall for that eye of yours again. Zabuza frowned, slashing his large sword. That's what they all say. Guess what happened? Kakashi frowned. But it was true. Zabuza was avoiding looking at his face and aiming his blade for the copy ninja's chest and legs. If I can catch him at just the right moment, this battle is mine. Kakashi thought. He just had to disrupt Zabuza's sense of time. Or balance. Not a lot, just enough. Zabuza ran and tossed several kunai at Kakashi's covered eye while lunging from the other side. The white-haired ninja dodged the kunai, kicking a leg up to kick Zabuza in the shoulder and push the massive sword away from him. He skidded back while reaching into his kunai pouch, but stopped. Fighting head-on like this was getting him nowhere. Zabuza was a highly skilled fighter with a large weapon he can wield effortlessly, giving him the range advantage and making Kakashi's kunai and shuriken next to useless thanks to the large blade being able to be welded like a shield. Plus he saw a lot of Kakashi's fighting style last time they fought. If the white-haired Junin wanted to win this, he had to use more of his large collection of jutsu and other techniques that Zabuza had not seen before. Catch him off guard and end this, quickly. Time to pull out the big guns. Kakashi thought as he bit his thumb, summoning jutsu. He called, slamming his palm against the ground. A large puff of smoke appeared while Zabuza looked surprised, but cautious. Several dogs stood in front of Kakashi, growling. Each one varying breed and size with a similar blue coat on them. Puppies. Zabuza frowned. You're going to try and use a bunch of mutts to try and beat me. Do not underestimate me. Kakashi frowned, charging with his dogs. I feel useless. Sakura growled, forced to be on the sidelines. If Naruto-kun was here, he'd have beaten these two in no time. She thought in determination and confidence. If only she did not have to protect this stupid old man, she could be beating that ice bastard and show Naruto how strong she really was. With said blonde, he was running down the road while hoping things hadn't turned dark for the team. I'm on my way, he thought, nearing the bridge. He was going to have to show more of his skills, not something he was a fan of. Yes, he enjoyed showing off. As a ninja, the more secrets you have the better, but when he got there he saw Sakura and Tazuna not moving and was confused. Hey. Huh. Naruto. Sakura gasped, smiling in joy as she saw him. Why are you two just standing there? Naruto asked, only to freeze as he saw a dome of ice mirrors as well as the battle between Zabuza and Kakashi, his jaw dropping for a second. What the? They're already making a move. Naruto thought, quickly working out the situation. Sasuke fighting the masked ninja in the disco ball. Yes. Sakura nodded, hugging Naruto and pushing her body against his. Naruto, I'm so scared. These guys want to kill us. She cried, blushing as she felt his body against hers. He blinked and patted her on the back. It'll be alright, Sakura, but I don't think now is the best time to get cold feet. He said awkwardly. She stinks of arousal. Kuruma thought inside his seal, put off by the strange girl. You're right. Sakura nodded, pulling back reluctantly. Kick and promise me you will come back. Well, I wouldn't be much of a shinobi if I died too soon. Naruto nodded before he ran into battle. So cool. Sakura squealed. Naruto. Kakashi gasped, seeing his student while managing to keep Zabuza busy as his canines were keeping his attention. Sorry I'm late, overslept. Naruto joked, jumping between two mirrors. And landed to the entertaining sight of Sasuke getting owned by so many needles and looking like a hedgehog. Wow, Sasuke, you trying to be a porcupine instead of a real shinobi. Naruto laughed lightly. Naruto. Haku thought gently, stopping her assault as she stared at him sadly. Naruto calmed down, looking around the mirrors with a calculating eye even as he was still laughing. If this guy is meant to go around in each of them, it's to keep all the blind spots covered so he doesn't have a chance to miss no matter where Sasuke goes. Naruto analyzed, and the mirrors. They are beyond cold. You need some real strong fire to melt these mirrors. Get away, I can handle this bastard without your help. Sasuke snapped. Yeah, sure seems like it. Naruto snarked as he sniffed the air, mostly because he smelt something familiar. The water vapor of the ice was masking it. But he still had it. No way. Naruto whispered lightly before he sighed, smiling sadly and closing his eyes. I'm glad your father is doing better, Haku. He called. Haku's eyes widened while Sasuke didn't know what the hell he was talking about. He knows. Haku thought in shock. How? Oh, and that lie about being a boy was really mean too. Naruto frowned. The hell are you talking about, Dobi? Sasuke snarled. Haku here is a girl, not a guy. I thought I just made that clear. Naruto rolled his eyes, ignoring Sasuke as he walked into the middle of the dome. Haku, why are you doing this? He asked calmly. Because I must. Haku said coldly, I am but a weapon, to strike where Zabuza-sama points. Oh yeah, well that's way off course. Naruto frowned, but, if we have to fight, no hard feelings. He said, his mood flipping like a switch as he gave a charming smile. Haku narrowed her eyes before pulling her arm back and tossed the Senbon at him. Naruto did not bother to dodge, the Senbon passing through him like he wasn't even there. What the? Haku gasped, eyes widening. Now that wasn't nice. Naruto frowned as the smiling Naruto disappeared, the real Naruto sitting on a mirror. You could have at least nodded, I thought we were friends. He joked, jumping down. How did he do that? I didn't see any indication that it was a fake. Haku thought in disbelief. Now, shall we take this seriously? Naruto frowned as he lowered his body stance. He was in a fighting pose that felt primal, animalistic, like a hunter ready to pounce on their prey. But even then the stance was not too rigid or wild, it was flexible and adaptable. I won't hold back, as Zabuza-sama's weapon it's my duty to crush his enemies, and you will be considered as one. Haku explained with a frown. Doesn't mean we can't have fun. Naruto winked despite his serious body language and tone. My turn. There was a small moment of silence. And then Naruto was off. He struck a mirror, shattering it as Haku jumped into another. If she had been a second slower she would have taken that hit dead on. He spun on his heel before smashing another one with his elbow. How is he breaking my mirrors? Haku thought in shock as she continued to jump from one mirror to another. This hurts. Naruto thought, hiding his pain. He was punching ice, using natural chakra and wind chakra to form small drill-like gusts as he hit the ice. The wind digs into the ice, splintering it lightly so his fists have a chance to shatter the damaged structure, but that didn't mean he was immune from the force since the ice was still pretty thick. How dare he? Sasuke whispered in pain and anger, this was my time to shine. Sasuke thought in anger, this was to be my first victory. Where I showed my strength. Where I showed the power of the Uchiha. Sasuke's eyes began to sting from his anger, his rage filling his body and mind at how Naruto was showing him up. Soon all of the ice mirrors were gone, leaving Naruto and Haku facing each other in the flesh. Now we can fight for real. Naruto smiled, this is getting me excited. Why don't you take that mask off, Haku? She frowned and held a Senbon in each hand before running at him. Whoa. Naruto's eyes widened, leaning to the side and dodging. What's wrong? You look pretty without the mask. What? She blushed hearing that and kept trying to get him. What did he say to her? Sakura thought in a rage, seeing red. How does she know about my Naruto-kun? Come on, Haku, you can see my face. Naruto rolled his eyes. No hard feelings on who wins, so why can't you show your face? She stopped moving and let out a sigh before taking the mask off, happy. Haku frowned, her attractive face visible to all once more while clearly looking a bit uncomfortable. Yep. Naruto smiled, folding his arms behind his head. She's cute. Sakura thought, fire shooting from her ears. Beaten by a girl. Sasuke thought in anger. Now we can fight all out, but be warned, this is a bad idea. Naruto said, pretending to be while winking again. Haku blushed before lunging at him. Naruto leaned to the side, the Senbon cutting his cheek while he grabbed her by the upper arm and twisted around her, holding her in a very simple arm lock. But that wasn't all, as he grabbed her free arm and pinned into her side while also hitting her in the back of her knee. Haku flinched but slammed her head back, hitting him in the nose. Ah! Naruto gasped, grasping his nose and releasing Haku from his grip only for her to spin around and kick him in the face. Or hand, as he caught the kick and held her by the ankle. That was cheeky. Naruto grumbled, holding his nose, which caused the slightly mumbled voice, before he threw her. UHG. Haku grunted softly as she easily caught herself, flipping between several hand seals as she prepared for another ice jutsu attack. Not this time, Naruto called as he charged in, throwing a punch that forced her to block instead of completing her jutsu. He swung his leg up to her side, which she blocked with her knee before jagging his free fist against her chest. Haku stumbled back, glaring as she rubbed the spot that Naruto struck, and then they blurred, increasing their speed and the fought around the bridge. Zabuza noticed and was stunned while crying out as two of the dogs bit into his legs, with some grabbing his arms. Get off, you nuts! He growled, hitting them. That kid is actually keeping up with Haku. He thought. I can't even follow their movements. Sasuke thought in blind rage while feeling his eyes hurt more. He's making me look like a complete fool. Slowly his eyes began to morph and change. The eyes turned red with the pupil staying black, and a single comma symbol slowly forming around it, and suddenly he could see much clearer. What just happened to my eyesight? Sasuke thought, picking up a share of shattered ice and looking at himself in them before his eyes widened. The Sharingan. It's finally here. I've unlocked it. He was shocked. And then he began to laugh. Said laughter was heard by Haku and Naruto, who turned to see his new eyes focused on them. Seriously? Naruto sighed, putting his hands on his hips. What's so funny, Sasuke? You're interrupting my fun fight with Haku. I was winning, he said childishly at the end. No, you were not. Haku frowned, unable to help herself from saying such a thing from Naruto's childish act. Was so. Naruto grinned. Was not. She countered. Was so. Naruto sang, wrapping an arm around her shoulders playfully. Was not. She said, lightly pushing him, unable to stop herself from smiling. Was so. Was not. Was too. Was not. Was too. Was not. Sasuke slowly stopped and smirked while pushing back up on his feet. Now I'm going to show you both the might of the Uchiha. Huh. The two blinked as they saw the Avenger pull a kunai out and force himself to run at them. Is your teammate insane? Haku blinked, the two dodging. You just now noticed, joked Naruto while kicking Sasuke in the back and making him fall on the front, pushing some of the Senbon into his body. Ah! Sasuke yelled in pain. Be careful, you hit the wrong Senbon too deep and you could cause serious damage. Haku warned. He can deal with it. Naruto shrugged. So, why are you working for Zabuza? I'm curious while we are having fun messing with this dumbass. Seeing how this was becoming less of a fight and more a casual chat, she let out a sigh. Fine. Years ago there was a bad war, something that caused fear in people who managed to survive, since many people who were in the war had Kekkei Genkais. My parents had me after it, but I soon found out about my ability and my mother had it too, but when my father heard of it he gathered a small mob to try and have us killed. Your father gathered a mob to kill you and your mother? Naruto snapped, jumping casually over a charging Sasuke. His sentiment touched Haku, making her smile softly. What happened next? Before he could though, my powers awakened and I killed them, but my mother couldn't be saved. She looked down while gripping her hands. Good. Naruto sighed, otherwise I'd be killing him. It wasn't long after that Zabuza-sama found me and took me in. He gave me a new purpose for my ability, he helped me become what I am. His loyal weapon, Haku said, a gentle and sad smile on her face. Please, don't talk about that rubbish. Naruto scoffed, getting annoyed now and just punching Sasuke hard in the face and knocking him out. We both know that isn't true. Yes she was cut off when Naruto put a finger to her mouth, his act gentle and caring. If you were a real weapon, you would have killed me the second you found out who I was. A weapon has no emotions or life, but the fact you talked and spared me showed you still have all that. Also, if that were true, then why take the time to listen to me and tell me your origins? Naruto explained gently, plus I knew you were not fighting seriously, no matter what you said. Because I wasn't either. And I know that if we fought seriously, if I landed one hit, I would win, but you have the speed and ability to take me out before I even got that hit. If we fought for real, it would be a 50-50 on who would win. And finally, if you were a weapon, when we first met, you wouldn't have called Zabuza your father in your lie. Her eyes widened while shutting her eyes and feeling conflicted, but, she thought in conflict, only for him to interrupt again. You care about him. You see him as the father that bastard wasn't. Which means he cares about you too. Naruto explained gently, rubbing her cheek softly, you are not a weapon. You are Haku, a beautiful snow maiden with a badass dad and killer ice skills. You also aren't bad with those needles of yours. He smiled, joking gently at the end. She looked at him surprised while also blushing at the compliment. Thank you. She whispered, blushing gently and smile. No problems. Naruto shrugged, his eyes widening lightly as she kissed his cheek. Kill the bitch. Kill the bitch. Kill the bitch. Sakura thought, almost attacking blindly. Oh. Naruto blinked, a bright red blush quickly spreading over his face. It was my thank you. She shrugged like it was no big deal before they both heard the sound of thousands of birds chirping. They turned to Zabuza and Kakashi to see said silver-haired Chunin holding one arm down to the ground as electricity was gathering in his hand and Zabuza was being held by his dogs all over. Zabuza-sama. Haku yelled, about to run to his side, but Naruto grabbed her wrist. Go! Naruto called, quickly summoning two large dog-sized foxes who took off at Kakashi in the blink of an eye. It's over. The masked ninja called, Kakashi himself running towards the nin. He aimed his lightning-coated hand at the missing nin's chest. Only for a wall of stone to appear out of nowhere and get in his way, a large stone dog-like creature charging into his side. Oh no you don't. One shouted before they jumped up and tackled him. The two foxes now had Kakashi pinned to the ground, one looking like it made of stone. Trust me. Naruto whispered in Haku's ear, getting to work. Hey, what are you two doing? Kakashi snapped, the stone fox returning to normal. No need for violence Kakashi-sensei, I don't want Haku to lose her father. Naruto explained, ninja wire wrapped around Haku in a way that would clearly decapitate her if she struggled or if he pulled. I am sure Zabuza is willing to give up with this. He smiled at the injured man. What? That's crazy. Zabuza spat while groaning since the dogs didn't let up and their teeth were digging into him all around, but seeing Haku in that state. He sighed, saying a multitude of curses under his breath. He was in no condition to keep fighting and Haku's life was in danger. Fine, I give. Cool. Naruto smiled, the ninja wire around Haku disappearing into thin air showing the wire had been fake. Now we just gotta get this bridge finished and the mission's complete. Naruto smiled before clapping could be heard. Well, it seems the nuns I hired turned out to be weaker than I figured. Shoulda saved my money by hiring a couple of pit bulls. A high and mighty voice mocked from inside the most. Gato. Zabuza growled. Walking into view was a short man in a suit with shades on and a smirk on, and behind him were 100 men carrying random weapons. Gato, what the hell is going on? Growled Zabuza. Missing nin like are so expensive, not worth your price. Gato shrugged. I was planning on having these guys kill you after you've finished your job and you were all weak and tired. These guys, even all together, cost less than you. But it seems as if the demon of the mist is really a puppy. He and his men began to laugh, Zabuza snarling in anger. It seems we have a common enemy now, Zabuza. Kakashi said, I can do this alone. Give me a kunai. Zabuza snarled. Actually, why don't you let Haku and I deal with this? Naruto smiled at the two Jonin. Huh, they and Haku blinked. You're both tired and Haku and I never decided who won our match. Naruto smirked, looking at the female ice jutsu user. What do you say, Haku? Whoever kills the most mercenaries wins. Loser does whatever the loser wants. Within reason, as judged by their Jonin. He challenged, stretching lightly. She looked at him and then the crowd before pulling out several senbon. Remember those words when I win. She mocked gently, a gentle smile on her face. Oh ho, someone's full of themselves. He laughed with a wink, throwing a kunai up and down. Enough of this. Gato glared, clicking his fingers. Attack. Kill them all. But leave the woman alive, I want some fun. Yeah. The thugs roared out and ran at them. You're going to pay for that last line. Naruto snarled, chakra and natural energy forming around his fingers as he charged. He and Haku were dancing around the battlefield, taking out every mercenary with one hit each in less than 3 seconds. Blood flew out as one by one they fell to the ground without a word. Kakashi and Zabuza watched in a mix of pride and shock at their students' skills, Sakura watching Naruto with hearts in her eyes and the older bridge builder looking in awe. Soon Gato was the only one left, his mercenaries. 50. Naruto and Haku said at the same time as the last one fell, the two freezing and looking at each other. It was a tie. And Gato was the only one left and the small businessman knew that too. The two slowly looked at him with glints while he felt his blood run cold with fear, darkness covering the two's faces while their eyes shone red almost like they were demons themselves. Street. Stay back. Gato yelled, backing up in pure terror. Don't hurt me. Please. I'm sorry. I'll pay you. Money won't save you, ya midget bastard. Naruto snarled. Suddenly 3 senbon hit Gato in the neck, blood pouring out of his mouth and dying. I do believe I win. Haku smiled teasingly, pointing at said killer senbon. Wah hey. No fair. Naruto gasped and glared. He was busy monologuing. I killed him, I won. Was all Haku said. I have 51, you have 50. Fine. Naruto signed and crossed his arms, clearly giving up in the argument. What do you want? Is now the time for this? Sakura snarled a bit, wanting to attack her. Stop being so friendly with him, hussy. She thought. I guess. Naruto nodded. As the villagers arrived, armed to battle, and were shocked to see the dead Gato. Gato. He's dead. Oh thank you Kami. They did it. The cheers were near deafening, Zabuza groaning and leaning against a wall. The dogs let go while he could feel the blood loss getting to him. Well done kid. He mumbled, I can't believe he managed to do that. What happened to Sasuke? Kakashi blinked. Oh, he spouted on and on about his new power or something. I tuned him out after the first minute. Naruto lied. I think he has chakra exhaustion. Haku explained, lying as she shared a sneaky smile with Naruto. We better leave him alone to rest, smiled Sakura. And let the buzzards eat him. Why don't we just go back to my place? Tazuna suggested. He definitely needed a drink and a good before he finished the bridge after today. Sounds good to me. grinned Naruto. Underscore. Time skip. Naruto was laying on the grass with his eyes closed as he was enjoying the sun, Tazuna busy building the bridge. It had been a week since the bridge battle and Haku had guilt-tripped Zabuza into staying and helping. You impressed me, Kit. You really did, Kurama said from inside his seal, smiling. Thanks. Naruto smiled, enjoying the sun. You seem comfy. A female voice said from above him. Naruto opening an eye to see Haku standing over him, mostly blocking out the light which also concealed her in the shadows she cast. Hey Haku. He smiled, the girl moving back a bit so he could see her in the simple green kimono she was wearing. Wow. He mumbled, the plain outfit looking very good on her. Thank you. She smiled with a blush, sitting next to him. How are you today? Well, I was enjoying the sun for a bit, but I think I might be enjoying something else. Naruto shrugged. What is that? She asked curiously. You. He smiled while tapping her nose with his finger. Are you flirting with me? Haku blushed. I don't know, you tell me. Naruto shrugged with a smile. I do not know what to say. Haku blinked. Well, I know, why don't you tell me what you want me to do? After all, you won the bet, so I gotta do what you pick. Naruto asked with a smile. First I would like you to kiss me. Haku whispered with a blush. You heard her, Kit, take her breath away. The Nine Tails encouraged, very eager and excited to see how the child of the foxes would progress. If you're sure. Naruto smiled as he cupped her cheek, slowly leaning in and pressing his lips against hers. Haku closed her eyes while marveling that this was actually happening, her first kiss. Their lips pressed together gently, both clearly a bit clumsy and unskilled with kissing, but they followed their instincts and just kissed each other sweetly. Wow, her lips are so soft. Naruto thought in slight surprise. He is so gentle. Haku thought. Now add some tongue, Kit. Kurama instructed, laughing. I don't want to scare her off, you perverted fox. Naruto thought back in annoyance. Before an argument could break out, Haku broke the kiss, smiling. That was very nice. She smiled. Now for the second half of what I want you to do. I want a date. Someone wants to be spoiled. He teased. I'm serious. She frowned, hitting his chest lightly. I'm kidding, consider it done. Naruto promised with a smile, rubbing the spot where she hit him. She smiled back while moving closer and laying her head on his shoulder. What's going on here? Zabuza frowned from behind the two, an aura of evil and a promise of pain in his tone. Bye Haku, I'll see you later. Naruto yelled as he took off running as fast as he could to get away from the mist demon. Zabuza-sama. Haku frowned. Elsewhere. Sasuke was training hard in the woods, determined to master the Sharingan. He was currently having a moment of rest, believing he was now the strongest ever. Soon I will take everything that the fool knows. Not even that psycho can stop me, he muttered with a smirk before feeling a presence behind him. Oh really? A dark voice said behind him. Huh. Sasuke blinked as he turned around, only for a rock the size of a large dog to hit him in the face. Thanks to the strength and durability he had built up as a ninja so far, that did not cause too much damage, just knocking him out with a small cut on the side of his head. Revealing Sakura standing there. You think you can steal Naruto-kun's techniques? His power? You think you're better than him? Sakura snarled as she pulled out a bottle of green liquid, opening it with a pop. She got on her knees, ironically straddling his waist. She reached a hand down, forcing his eye open despite him being knocked out. Let's see how much love and respect you have without your precious eyes. She snarled, holding the bottle up, and dropping 3 drops into each eye. The second the liquid hit Sasuke's eyes, he let loose a bowl of agony, awakening from his unconsciousness because of the utter ferocity the pain he felt was. However, with the liquid in his eyes he could not see who was above him. And his vision was fading. As soon as the drops had left the bottle, Sakura took off running as fast as she could, throwing the bottle with her full strength as she ran, making the small bottle fall onto a mountain hundreds of miles away. She was near the house and turned around, so she was running back towards the pain-filled Uchiha, still able to hear Sasuke's screaming, as Kakashi arrived with Zabuza. Naruto and Haku joined half a second later, the five running to where Sasuke had been screaming. "Sasuke, what's wrong?" asked Kakashi, crouching down while the male covered his face. "My eyes. They feel like they're on fire." Sasuke howled in pain, kicking and thrashing on the spot, showing his pure agony. Haku frowned and started using water jutsu to clean his eyes. When she moved her hand away, his eyes looked foggy and glossed over. They looked like clear balls of crystal almost, some burnt red flesh around the edges hidden by his eyelids. I can't see," Sasuke whispered, waving a hand in front of his face. "I can't see. I can't see." He was having a panic attack, the horror of what happened to him hitting. "What happened to him?" Naruto asked. "Someone attacked me, you idiot," Sasuke yelled, although he was looking in the wrong direction. "I mean, what did they attack you with? I'm sure Kakashi can work out what happened to you." Naruto frowned, but he knew Sasuke was not thinking straight. "I don't know. All I saw was a rock and then everything went black," Sasuke yelled, shaking in rage. "It looks like someone poured some sort of acid into Sasuke's eyes. I say acid, but it was more a chemical that degraded Sasuke's retinas until there was next to nothing left. If we left him for a minute, it may have caused worse damage as it got into his system, but that is just a small comfort in knowing we got here in time." Kakashi sighed as he picked up. "I'm going back to Konoha as fast as I can, hopefully they can fix him. Sakura, Naruto, you stay here and be careful, I'll be back as soon as I can," he informed. "You got it," spoke Naruto with a nod. "Be safe, sensei," Sakura said in worry. As he went off, Sakura cheered in her head for a job well done. She had removed Naruto's biggest obstacle. Now to ensure that floozy is dealt with before we head to the village, she thought, glaring at Haku. "Let's pack up and go to Konoha." Naruto nodded, smiling at Haku. "No," Sakura screamed mentally, hugging, "we can't bring this ice-hearted floozy. She will try to take you away, Naruto." "Should we, Zabuza-sama?" Haku asked her father figure, but it was clear she wanted to go. To have a home, maybe have a chance to be with Naruto. "I don't know, how do we know we can trust your Hokage?" he asked Naruto with a frown. "We're both missing Nin, the last thing I want is to wake up tied up and find out we were sold. 1. The old man is like my grandfather. If I say you can be trusted, he will honestly consider it. 2. I have a lot of power in the village that most people don't know. 3. Haku was never registered as a shinobi, so she is not technically a missing nin and they cannot deny her entry or take advantage of her. 4. Again for Haku, but she has a bloodline so they won't turn her away. And as you are her guardian, in a way, the old man won't want to separate you. And finally, if you want even further reassurance, I can give you diplomatic immunity." Naruto listed off. "Zabuza-sama, perhaps we should take it," Haku suggested, clearly looking slightly hopeful. He looked between her and Naruto, who gave a small smile and crossed his arms with a sigh. "Fine, but I won't put my guard down for anything, got it?" "Sure." Naruto nodded. "No. Don't come with us. Take your bitch of a daughter and get away from us." Thought Sakura was trying to keep her hands from twitching near her kunai pouch. However, she knew she could not take Zabuza. She believed that she could beat Haku, but now was not the time to test it. She had to be patient. Like with Sasuke. Like with her mother. "Well, we should pack." Naruto clapped, quickly taking off to the cottage house they had been staying in since this mission had began. "All help," called Sakura, running after him. "Something seems off about her," remarked Zabuza. I'd keep my eyes on her Haku. Of course Zabuza-sama. Haku nodded seriously. I suspect that she was the one to do that to the duck-haired boy. Until we know for sure, let's just go along and don't draw too much attention or she might try to stab us in the back. Zabuza ordered, knowing all of the signs that Haku pointed out and noticed. Yes sir. She nodded. Time skip. Thank you for all your help. Tazuna thanked the ninja, Zabuza and Haku waiting in the background. We did our best. Naruto nodded, noticing the child crying. Inari, what's wrong? I don't want you to go big bro, the young hat-wearing boy cried. I'll come visit Inari. Naruto smiled, hugging the kid lightly. Promise? The kid asked. Promise. Naruto nodded. You live. Sakura thought, the two leaving with Zabuza and Haku. As soon as they left the village they took off at shinobi speed while the village waved. What should we call the bridge, father? Tsunami asked gently. How about the Great Tazuna Bridge? The elder bridge builder grinned and laughed, the village booed. How about we call it the Great Naruto Bridge? Inari asked, the crowd thinking for several moments and nodding. Perfect. Tazuna grinned, named after our hero. The Great Naruto Bridge. Haha. Time skip. Well, it's been a blast. Naruto smiled as the group were making their way to the gate. One way of saying it. Zabuza scoffed. When they reached the gate, two shinobi showed up. Halt, state your business. One guard ordered. Hey guys. Naruto waved. We're the Team 7 Genin, and guests, retraining from our mission. Our sensei and third team member already arrived because of an injury the latter received. Can you show us some ID first? We need to be completely sure. One guard asked with a frown. Sure. Sakura nodded, showing her ninja registration. Naruto showed this while they looked them over before handing them back. Do your guests have any ID as well? The other asked. No. Naruto laughed nervously. I can verify them. Kakashi said as he appeared out of nowhere. They're interested in joining the village and I was just going to introduce them to the Hokage. He passed the two a note from the homage himself, verifying them. All right, go on ahead. The second guard sighed. Thank you sirs. Haku smiled. They walked into the village while Zabuza and Haku noted how warmer the air was and how much more sunny it was. This place is rather nice. Haku thought with a smile. Big brother Naruto. Save me. A voice yelled, a fox running over and jumping into Naruto's arms who blinked in confusion for a second. What's wrong? Naruto gasped while looking down at the fox, which was one of the foxes he left to look after Hinata, Ino and Ayame, who was shaking in fear. Save me. Save me from her. The orange fox cried. Come here Smoke. Naruto, you're back. Ino smiled as she ran around the corner holding a dog-sized pink dress which made the group blink. No. It's her. The fix screamed, hiding inside Naruto's jacket, keep it away. Save me. Save me. Hey Ino. Naruto greeted as she ran over while Smoke shook more. Dude relax, it's just a dress. She has treated me like a doll since you left. The fox screamed. I'm so glad you're back. Ino smiled happily, hugging him. The feeling's mutual. He smiled with a light blush while Sakura heard a crack in the back of her head with her hair shadowing her eyes. Remember to come to my house later. Ino laughed. You said you'd buy a whole bouquet. And I stick to my word. Oh right. I want you to meet our guests. He pointed to Zabuza and Haku. They're gonna be joining the village. Nice to meet you. Ino smiled as she continued to hug Naruto, her arms around his neck while he had an arm around her waist. Nice to meet you as well. Nodded Haku, although a little annoyed while Zabuza just gave a grunt in reply. I take it you two are very close. Well, we're friends. Naruto chuckled. I wouldn't mind being closer though. Ino added casually, a throwaway comment most didn't notice. Just keep that thing away from me. Spoke up Smoke inside the jacket. You would have looked cute in that dress. Ino pouted. I see. Haku nodded, her eyes slightly cold. Hey brat, are we gonna go or do you and your girlfriend need a moment? Asked Zabuza, getting annoyed. Gee. Girlfriend. Naruto gasped and blushed. Kakashi chuckled. Come along Naruto. Kakashi I smiled, dragging Naruto away. Later Naruto. Ino waved. Oh wait, can you leave Smoke behind? I have a bow that matches the dress. No. Smoke screamed in fear. Bitch. Sakura thought, once I get my chance, you are dead. Why do I feel very annoyed with her? Thought Haku. The group soon arrived at the tower, walking in calmly. After showing the secretary their IDs they headed to the main top floor and entered the Hokage's office. Hey old man. Naruto greeted. Hello Naruto. Greeted Sarutobi. The mission was a success. Kakashi nodded. And I take it this is Haku and Zabuza as you mentioned. The Hokage asked. Yep. Naruto nodded with a smile. We talked them into joining the village. Well I admit, taking in one of the swordsmen of the mist who's also a missing nin will be tricky to get through on paperwork, he admitted. The last thing we want is Kiri holding some grudge against us if they think we're getting into their business. They're in a civil war right now. Zabuza snarled, I was saving money to try and support the rebellion. The chances of them worrying about us won't happen for a long time, and by then it would be too late, remarked Haku. Besides, Haku was never a shinobi so they can only complain about Zabuza. Naruto added with a grin, loophole right there. It seems so. The elderly ninja smiled. I'd say after testing you two out to determine your ranks, you'd make excellent shinobi for Konoha. How's Sasuke? Naruto asked. Sure he did not like the guy, but what happened to him was terrible. He will never see again. Sarutobi sighed, he has been removed from the shinobi corps for this reason, as well as so he can focus on adjusting to his new disability. That's horrible, gasped Sakura while inwardly laughing to herself. Isn't there anything that can be done? Unfortunately, no, you just have to be there to support him. Sarutobi explained, luckily he is still young and will be the head of the Uchiha clan, so he will have all the money to be able to assist him and live a long and happy life. Which is not something every ninja can say. Kakashi, please take Zabuza away from his evaluation. And drop Haku off at the academy for hers. Yes Hokage-sama. Kakashi bowed, the three leaving. Sakura. I have some sad news to tell you. The aging Hokage sighed. If you wish for Naruto to stay as emotional support then that is fine, but I will not pass on this information until you have decided. He can stay, she said quickly, grabbing Naruto's hand. Very well. Sarutobi nodded. Sakura Haruno. I am sorry to tell you this but 4 days ago your mother was found alone in your home, dead. Naruto's eyes widened while Sakura made a realistic gasp while slowly forcing her tears out. What? Sakura whispered in horror, her tone perfectly hiding her real thoughts and opinions. Someone broke into your mother's house in fear of night and killed her with a kitchen knife. We have reason to believe she may have pushed a neighbor too far or someone targeted her out of hate. I am so sorry. The elder Hokage said sadly. No, she screamed out while dropping to her knees and covered her face to keep up the appearance and to keep herself from grinning. It'll be okay Sakura. Naruto whispered as he knelt next to her, hugging her, we'll catch who did this and they'll get what they deserve. I promise. He soothed. She sniffled and cried on Naruto's chest while he patted her back and she squealed in her mind. All according to plan. She thought evilly, Naruto's chest hiding her mad grin. Naruto sat next to Sakura, rubbing her back as they sat on a bench in the village, feeling better. He asked. She sniffled while holding onto him and slowly nodded, a little. Of course she was faking but she would never tell him that, no matter what anyone did. Getting this chance to be so close to him. She was taking it like she wished he would take her. I hope she's gonna be alright, I don't know what I'd do if I lost you or any of the others, he thought, talking to Kurama. And she needs some time alone now. Just keep an eye on her. Kurama sighed. You don't want to come off as a clingy weirdo or give her the wrong idea that you are into her. So just leave her be. Isn't that a bit harsh? No. Ask her if she's alright, and if she says you'll see her later but come see you if she needs to talk. The fox rolled his eyes. Seriously, you are sometimes crap with kitsunes. He rolled his eyes. You gonna be alright, Sakura? I think so. She nodded, hugging herself and relaxing against his side while taking in his scent secretly. He smells so good. Well, I'm glad to hear, but I gotta go do something. You can talk to me later if you need to talk though, he assured with a smile, standing up. She pouted and wanted to say something, but she didn't want to seem too clingy or come off as much, but she wanted him to be tied up in her home, never leaving her side. Can't you stay a little bit longer? She asked with a puppy dog pout. Naruto mumbled, looking at his watch. I guess I can. She smiled and hugged him while Kurama shook his head. This will only end badly, the fox said, going to sleep. Again, if I had the right ingredients I could give Naruto-kun a sleeping drug and show him how good my body is to bear his children. Sakura thought creepily, holding him tightly. Kit, why'd you have to fall for that? Kurama mumbled, falling asleep. I should probably go. Naruto laughed nervously. I really should get that stuff done. What stuff? Sakura blinked before she noticed he was gone. She frowned and clenched her fists. Well, me and my siblings need to hang out. I promised them. He laughed nervously, feeling an aura of anger coming from her suddenly. He turned and jumped onto the rooftops while Sakura ended up punching a hole in a nearby fence. He will be mine, she hissed lightly. With Naruto. Finally, Naruto sighed, arriving at a familiar ramen stand, where half a dozen foxes were waiting. What? Hey, save some room for me, Yano. He frowned, sitting between the foxes as they snickered. Sorry, but this ramen is great. Seconds. You started without me. Naruto groaned, seeing Ayame and her father working with smiles. These guys keep coming, and at this rate they might eat us out of house and home, chuckled Chuki. Why do you seem so happy about that? Naruto blinked. Because it's going in your tab. The brunette nodded, showing the bill so far. I see. Wait, what? Naruto yelled. Thanks bro. Laughed one fox while two others were fighting over the same bowl. Why you little? Naruto snarled, sighing. One pork for me please. He ordered in slight defeat. We should still have some, I think. Ayame assured with a smile, quickly serving him a bowl. Your brothers and sisters have been telling me. I mean us, some interesting stories. Like what? Naruto blinked as he started eating his ramen. Like how when you tended to always lose in hide and seek, they said you always missed them even when they were right in front of you. She smiled. Or how when you were homesick you'd mumble my name in your sleep. He went wide-eyed and blushed while hearing some of them snicker and gulped. Well, they like to be sneaky and mess with people, they're just making stuff up. Ayame. More ramen please. Naruto's voice came from a tape recorder one of the foxes had as they all laughed. That's it. Naruto yelled as he sat up. Run away. One female fox yelled. Abort. A male added, the kit's running off like a small sea. I will dye all your fur pink. Naruto roared after them, sitting back in his seat with a huff while Ayame chuckled at the sight. Not funny, he muttered with a blush. Kind of is. She nodded, and since you sounded about 9 there, cute too. She teased with a giggle. He covered his head with a groan while taking some chopsticks and started eating his ramen. I'm gonna get them all back for this. He thought. Bright, neo-pink. All of them. Elsewhere. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the village, the Hokage sighed as he entered a very important meeting. Sarutobi, What is so urgent you had to call in the middle of the day? Asked Homura. Well, elders and the council, I have some rather good news. And some bad news. The elder Hokage nodded as he took his seat. What is it? Danzo asked with a frown. Which would you like first? Sarutobi joked lightly. The good news, spoke Sume. Well, it would seem we have 2 shinobi willing to become part of Konoha, both of which are exceptionally skilled and merely need to pass some tests to make sure they're fit for duty. Sarutobi explained, a young ninja with an ice nature bloodline. And a very strong Junin called Zabuza. Wait, as in Zabuza, the demon of the hidden mist. Precisely. He nodded. You want to let a missing nun like that join our ranks? Have you gone mad? A random civilian councilman yelled. He raised an eyebrow. No, I'm using my head, what's your excuse? He's a killer and he is from another village. We should kill him, the villager said. Anyone with any real tactical knowledge, who understand what being a ninja is or even basic knowledge about the world gave the rather fat man a frown and a little glare minimum. He's a missing nin, meaning he holds no more relation to his former village. Sarutobi said slowly and calmly, and all ninja kill, at least once in their career, and that is only if they stay at a very low level their entire career. If this was not a time of peace, then most of our current genin would have already taken several lives. Still, allowing someone like him into our ranks is too risky. It is my decision as Hokage. And he is being interviewed by the T&I department. He glared, you question your Hokage. That made all of the civilians shut the hell up. What is the bad news? Hinata's father asked. Sasuke Uchiha was attacked during the mission by an unknown assailant and his eyes were damaged beyond repair from a form of acid, despite his team's best case to treat him and his sensei quickly returning him to the village for treatment. That made the civilians gasp in horror before bursting into a loud conversation that jumbled together and made the shinobi half groan. At least the selfish child is out of our hair. Shikamaru's father said lazily. How dare you call Uchiha-sama selfish when your whole clan is nothing but lazy deadbeats? A civilian yelled. We at least do our jobs. The Nara head frowned. That child demanded attention and power, insulted everyone and was pampered by you civilians. Well, now he does not even have his Sharingan after acid got to them. Frankly, maybe this will teach him a lesson. Ino's father said. If he can't learn how to cope with this and use it to his advantage, then maybe he should just stop being a shinobi altogether. The civilians were clearly annoyed and pissed. And that is why at this moment and onward, he will not be continuing any missions and be required to stay in the village to continue healing until I say so. The elder Hokage said, he will be a civilian again, but once recovery has been completed and we are sure he is mentally stable, he can be retrained to be a ninja without his sight. But Sarutobi. No, Danzo. The fire shadow glared. My decision is final. Danzo frowned, but the civilians were plotting now. Later. It was nearing sunset, Naruto waiting outside the academy for Haku to finish her assessment. He was nervous for her and it showed while he paced back and forth. Soon the ice user emerged from the school with Iruka, a Konoha headband tied around her right upper arm. I passed Naruto. She smiled, even if she had a distrustful look in her eyes. That's great. He smiled before hugging her. Congratulations, Haku. Haku hugged back lightly before breaking the hug. It was actually easier than I thought. Well, you are Chunin level skill-wise. Iruka praised me with a smile. Thanks, Iruka-sensei. Haku bowed. Well, let's go. Thanks, Iruka-sensei. Naruto called as he gently held Haku's hand and dragged her away. Have fun, you two, and good luck. He called out with a smile. Good luck, Naruto, he thought. This calls for a celebration. Naruto smiled, walking proudly. Too bad I already had ramen, or we could go for that. He added, what do you want to do? Well, I heard there were hot springs in this village, is that true? Haku asked. Huh. Oh, yeah. He nodded. I'd like to try it out. Me and Zabuza-sama never visited one and I wish to feel just how warm they're said to be. Haku nodded. Okay. He smiled. I don't think it's mixed gender today though. He blinked. I never mentioned it. She smiled. Did you want to take a peek? Naruto whispered as he froze and blushed. I'm just joking. Haku smiled, finding his reaction rather amusing. He puffed his cheeks while he started leading her. Meanie. He grumbled softly. Why thank you. She smiled, finding this reaction of his funny. Later. Naruto yawned, enjoying the warm water of the hot spring when he heard giggling from the branches above. Huh, hey who's there? He yelled, getting out of the spring and wrapping a towel around his waist. Looking up at a tree he saw a man with long white hair looking down at the women's hot spring as he giggled. He is staring at Haku. Naruto thought and he saw red. Said girl was leaning back against the rocks while not hearing said man, but she did hear the roar of anger from Naruto and seeing said man falling into the hot spring, making the women in the hot spring scream and attack the guy. Pervert. The girls yelled, attacking him. Well, Haku didn't. She noticed Naruto hanging from a branch while holding his towel as tightly as he could. She blushed at the sight while he turned and noticed her staring before turning red. Help. He mumbled nervously because if he let go of the branch fall onto the fence between the two springs and if he grabbed the branch with both arms to help him swing down then. Bye towel. Haku shook her head while hearing a crack come from the branch. No. Naruto stuttered in worry. Let go of your towel. Haku suggested casually, enjoying the sight and relaxing to enjoy the show. What? No way. Naruto yelled. Oh well. She shrugged while hearing the branch crack louder. It will be a good show either way. She smiled. Damn it, Haku. He groaned. What do I have to do? What is your relationship with that Ino girl? Haku frowned. You seemed awfully close even though you agreed to go on a date with me. What? He blinked before gulping. Well, we're friends, we used to take the same class with Iruka. For a few days and then my graduation. And she's a nice friend and… Ahahaha. So you were stringing me along. Haku frowned, her tone ice cold. No. Naruto called passionately, realizing what she meant. No. I swear to Kami it's not like that. He told her with honesty in his eyes. I felt like we understood each other, knowing the pain of being hated for what we could not help. Plus you are a gentle, kind person. Plus you're cute and badass. I wanted to try and see if this could work. Naruto. Haku whispered with a blush, her gaze lowering. So you believe me? He asked calmly. Your towel. She mumbled with a blush, but she did not look away. Huh. Naruto blinked as he looked down and, indeed, his towel was gone. Leaving the women of the hot spring to stare at his glory, and they rather liked the view if the blushed and bit lips were any indication. Oh Kami damn it. He snapped, letting go of the branch and laughing lightly so he fell into the male hot spring once more. Naruto. Haku thought with a smile. With Sasuke. The revenge-obsessed, now blind, former ninja lay in his bed with bandages covering his eyes. He was just gripping the covers while fuming since all he saw was darkness with no colors or shapes. He saw nothing. Nothing. No light, no faces, no matter how much he tried to squint or focus. There was no way he could get justice now. Damn it all. This can't be happening. It just can't. I need my eyes. He ranted in anger, hearing people walk inside his room. Sasuke Uchiha. The voice of the Hokage echoed through the room. What? Sasuke snapped hearing footsteps move beside the bed. I've come to tell you bad news. As of this moment, while you recover, until your eyesight heals, you will not be allowed to do any missions. The Hokage said, and the sad news is, your eyesight is likely to never recover after the damage you received. If this was 20 years ago, we could have asked an elder Uchiha who would never return to battle to transplant his eyes with yours, but he stopped there, not wanting to bring back those memories. However, once you have recovered mentally and as much as you can physically, you can be retrained. He added, trying to give Sasuke hope. What? But I'm a shinobi. I passed the test. I should be getting a doctor to fix my eyes. Sasuke snapped. You had acid poured into your eyes, child. You were lucky to be alive. The Hokage snapped. There is nothing we can do short of transplanting new eyes into your head. However, they will not have the Sharingan, and at this moment we do not have any doctors with the skill required for said procedure. Sasuke growled and sat up while throwing his pillow to the side while Sarutobi sighed. I think he needs some time alone. A ninja said gently to the Hokage. I agree. He nodded sadly, walking away. Hey, what's going on? Asked Sasuke, hearing them walk away. Get back here. Silence. Get back here. Back with Haku and Naruto. Today's been fun. Naruto mumbled with a blush as the two arrived back at his apartment, which was where Haku would be staying. Especially seeing your little fox. Haku. Okay. She smiled, arms behind her back. It wasn't little. She winked, waking inside. He blushed crimson and groaned while walking after her and shut the door. I pray the others don't hear about this. I think the entire village will know the monster you're packing by tomorrow. Kurama snickered inside the seal. You'll have flocks of vixens chasing after you, wanting you to breed them. Oh, I'm so proud of you, Kit. Oh haha, very funny. Naruto rolled his eyes when a kunai suddenly cut his cheek and a tongue licked the leaking blood from the fresh wound, the tongue belonging to a beautiful violet-haired woman with a mad grin, and Naruto felt large pushing against his back. Why hello there, Foxy. Yeah, like that one. Well, I haven't been able to bust this out. Naruto thought, remembering what was taught to him by the elder foxes of the family. Hello, lovely. He said in a deeper than normal tone, his voice a near animalistic purr, before he licked her neck slowly. What's your name? The woman was clearly thrown off guard for a second but recovered so fast Naruto did not even notice his advance had the effect he wanted. Anko Materashi, and aren't you the bold little guy? Says the woman dressed in just fishnets, no bra, pushing her hard nipples into my back. Naruto shot back, noting the material against his back and the 2 points pressing against his back in the center of her. Not that I want those to be hidden, they feel rather nice. She blinked before chuckling and pulled back while patting his back. Not bad, not bad. Usually if I tease someone younger than me they just go slack-jawed and can't say a word. Let's just say that I've had practice dealing with seduction and seducing back. Naruto shrugged, remembering how some of his elder sisters would transform into humanoid form to tease him and for him to tease so he could run seduction missions if needed without being swept away. Or just find a good mate. But I bet my skills wouldn't work on you, you seem like an expert. He shrugged, now able to turn around and look at her, and only was she gorgeous. The others would have her tease me for hours on end. Ah, you're growing up. Teased Kurama with a chuckle. Should I start looking forward to a little or two with this one or with Haku, or both? Maybe you will add that Ino girl to it. Shut up, Fox. Naruto snapped lightly. My, aren't you sweet? Anko laughed. She was a woman who oozed appeal with her curves and owned it. She was tall and slender, a perfect fighter's build but also an almost supermodel style build. Her chest a clear DD at least, her hair being a strange purple-black tied up in an almost pineapple-like ponytail, and her eyes were brown, pupil-less orbs filled with mischief, and her pale lips were in a smirk. She wore a mesh fishnet bodysuit that covers her from her neck down to her thighs. Over that she wore a tan overcoat with a purple inseam and a pocket on each side, a dark orange mini skirt, a dark blue belt, and pale gray shin guards. In addition to the typical forehead protector, She also wore a small pendant that looks like a snake fang and a wrist watch. Overall she looked lovely and deadly. I could just eat you up, she said with a strange tone that somehow mixed malice and into a sinful treat for the ear. I am sure you could. He gulped. So, why have you come to see me? Well, I am a Jonin, spending my time in my favorite dango shop having some of the delicious food when I hear some strange news. Anko said, talking as if telling a story to a child, about a genin who kicked the crap out of a pervert in the hot springs at the cost of his towel. And how gifted he was. She grinned. I am sorry, you are very beautiful, but I am not interested. Naruto shook his head. I am interested in someone else and I want this to work. Anko was silent for a few moments before she burst out laughing, holding her stomach as she gave a loud and genuine laugh from the pit of her stomach. Did I say something funny? He asked with a sweat drop. Damn kid, this chick must have you wrapped around her finger. Anko snickered as she calmed down. I mean to turn me down like that. You got balls and are serious for this girl. Oh, that was good. She calmed down, whipping a tear from her eye. Anyway, you partially misunderstood me. Yes, I am saying that I came to have with you, however it is not what you think. To go have some coffee. He joked. That would be nice too. She nodded, but no. With your size. As she said that she grinned and licked her lips, her voice a bit lustful. You would be perfect for special missions which involve your targets. So I came down here to offer to teach you, as this is a skill very useful for Shinobi. Well, my sisters kind of already taught me how to deal with seduction and missions where that might happen to me, he remarked, surprising her. Sisters. Kinky. She grinned, but they taught you seduction. There is more to it than that. Stuff they probably didn't teach you. She smiled, pushing herself against him with his face basically pushed into her chest, like how to touch a woman to make her go wild. How to properly give them everything you want to know. How to hold back your orgasm as they scream under you until you have everything you need. How to trick your target into bed and keep her distracted until you can get her off. There is still so much to learn. He blushed, feeling her chest while trying to keep from popping a nosebleed. Holy shit. They feel softer than the others when they do this. Try giving hair a feel, or maybe the thigh, encouraged Kurama. For once Naruto did not argue and did as he was told, his left hand grasping Anko-chan, giving it a squeeze while his right slid between her legs and rubbed her inner thigh. Anko jumped at the move, but that just made her grin and keep his head against her chest while moving a hand down to start rubbing against his own chest. My, what muscles you've got, kid. She purred, enjoying his touch while her hand slid lower down his body. So, what do you say? I'm not so sure. I mean, even if it's for a mission, what if Haku gets pissed off? I don't want her to think I'm some sleazy guy making up excuses just to bang some strangers. Naruto thought. Look, kid. The world is not all sunshine and rainbows. Anko sighed, seeing his hesitation. In the world we live in, the jobs we do. Yeah, this nasty stuff comes up. If your girl is a mature ninja and not just a fangirl, she would understand. However, if it makes you and your girl feel better, and since I am single right now, how about a compromise? A compromise. He blinked. If your girl agrees, I will join your relationship as a second girlfriend to teach you this stuff, as well as teach her stuff. Anko nodded, and as I am then part of the relationship, it won't be weird. Holy shit. Did she agree to being part of a harem? Naruto thought with a blink. Well, that makes 3. The Nine-Tails shrugged. Haku, her and that Ino vixen. I'd have to talk it over with Haku. He got out. Fine. She sighed. Come see me when you have an answer. And here's something to remember me by. Grabbing him by his blonde locks, she pulled him into a deep kiss, moaning deeply the entire time. Said entire time only being a few seconds before she broke the kiss, winking and running off, leaving a shocked and blushing Naruto. Wow. Naruto blinked in amazement before he shook his head and walked inside his apartment, seeing Haku look through the fridge. You've only got one bed. She said casually, not looking up from her search for some food. If you get touchy, your hands will drop off. She threatened simply. He gulped since it sounded cold and nodded. Duly noted. Good. She smiled, you've earned yourself a second date. With Sakura. The mad pink-haired teen was in her home, it was now her home. Hers. No mother, it all belonged to her. She was alone in her room, laughing as she plotted and wrote in a notebook. She had started planning on how to get rid of Ino and Haku, Hinata as well, but she was not a threat at the moment. For that pig, maybe I can have her die with an allergy to a new flower, only I'd need to find out one that can kill her without any leads to me. Plus who knows how far it might take me to get it. She thought, plus she is an expert on flowers. Would she fall for it? She is definitely my biggest threat, especially with that mind-walking jutsu thinks her family can do. Maybe a poisoned needle hidden away in her drawers. No guarantee she'd be pricked by it. Why is this so hard? At least with the ice bitch I can just frame her for something and have her killed. Too bad I couldn't get Sasuke's attack blamed on her, that cow spending so much time around my Naruto-kun. She snarled, biting into her pencil and snapping it. And if I go after Hinata, her family might either cover it up, which would be good for me since they might think it was one of them, or it would lead to the village going into high alert and that might lead to me being a suspect. I need to take out the major ones that are taking my Naruto-kun, that way I can be the only one to comfort him and show that I'm the one he can count on. By now she had stopped writing and had fallen back on her bed, hugging her homemade Naruto toy she had stolen from Hinata. We said it was homemade. We never said it was made in Sakura's home. Soon Naruto-kun, we'll be together, and all when we live together, you can use me over and over and over and over and over. She was soon laughing like a madwoman, rubbing the doll between her legs. With Sasuke. Our now blind village darling was snarling, he could not believe this village failed him so dearly. He needed his eyes to kill him. His brooding was interrupted as he heard several people walk into his room, making him sit up quickly. Who's there? He snarled. The civilian council, Sasuke-sama. One of them said nervously, we have a way to help you. What is it? Sasuke said, his eyes widening under his bandages. You just need to sign these papers. Another said, giving Sasuke a pen and putting it against some paper. He slowly moved the pen while feeling himself smirk hearing that. There. He nodded confidential. Congratulations Sasuke-sama, you are now marrying several of our daughters to rebuild the Uchiha clan. The first civilian councilman smiled. Wait, what? Sasuke yelled. You signed a marriage contract, betrothing you to 5 of our daughters. The second smiled, now you can repopulate your clan and produce more Sharingan users for the village. Giving you a small army to challenge your brother with. A third added as a way to try and make Sasuke accept it. I don't need to repopulate it now. He snapped with a scowl. What I need is a doctor to give me my eyes back. Rebuilding the clan is pointless until I end that bastard's life. Well, it is a bit late now Sasuke-sama. A fourth said arrogantly, you signed it, you are currently a civilian and you have no way for your eyes to repair. Time for you to sit back and accept what life has given you. Think of the bright side, maybe one of your kids will be able to take revenge for you. A fifth grinned, now you better rest up, your wedding is next week and you have 5 brides to satisfy and impregnate. The other that the 5 civilian councilmen left with smiles and cheers. Come back here you bastards. I'm not getting married. Fix my eyes. With Ino. The blonde lay atop her bed, moaning as she played with her body. She was rubbing her while one hand rubbed against her slit. She was moaning, bucking her hips against her hand in lust. She had walked into the hot springs as Naruto lost his towel and had quickly left, but she hadn't missed that stick between his legs. It blew her mind and made her rush back home and lock the door so she had privacy. First Naruto had to be such a fun and sweet and hot guy, and now he had to show that juice piece of meat he was packing. He was perfect. Oh God, yes, she gasped while giving her nipple a pinch. Her back arched, her eyes rolling up lightly as she came. Her juices sprayed out onto the sheets while her legs twitched and she tried catching her breath. She whimpered with a smile, "Oh Naruto, I hope you'd consider going out with me." "Ino, I'm home," came her dad's voice, which made her jump. "Daddy," she cried with a blush, pulling her covers close. Elsewhere. A pair of yellow slitted eyes were looking at the Uchiha compound while the person overheard Sasuke yelling out in anger from inside. "No," the being snarled gently in anger. "Shidao Kanji, maybe. Marindam, that's good. We were trying to make a character you would hate to like but also like to hate. That you'd find her enjoyable, creepy and threatening. ZS Weber Unlimited. To quote my PM to you. Or maybe I haven't updated the harem list to heighten drama as they do not know if Haku or Ino will survive. Wiggles my fingers while making an ooh noise. Or maybe I am just messing with everyone. Or maybe I forgot they were not on the list and therefore did not remember I needed to update it. Or maybe I am planning on killing them off. Or maybe I am adding random girls because I feel like it and want to mess with people. Maybe the harem list was a lie to make people think they know who will be in the relationship and who will survive based on cliches of harem stories. Or maybe I am messing with you right now with all these random questions and will never answer them. Who knows? I certainly don't. Daniel 2,610,994, yep. Heck, Naruto is gonna get lucky in this chapter. Grins. Naruto Shifen. No, Anko is not a. And she did not sleep with everyone. She was simply stating that, as a fact, these sort of missions can happen and Naruto would have to deal with them. She is open about, she knows she is hot so she does not mind showing herself. Also there was another reason why she wanted to train Naruto specifically, which will be explained this chapter. Kurono Dono 12, that's the point. AXZ Universe, she did not see it, only heard rumors. Sasuke is actually useless to Orochimaru now. She is taking her time, planning. Co-writer, Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan 163. Disclaimer, we do not own Naruto. Tailed Beasts Biju talking and thinking. Summon Boss talking and thinking. Jutsu. Naruto. The Fox Sage. Chapter 7. Preparing for the exams. Naruto groaned as he awoke slowly, feeling the soft female body next to him. He slowly turned his head and saw it was Haku sleeping peacefully while her head rubbed against his own. Panic suddenly filled Naruto as Haku was near in just her white bra and panties while he was just in his orange boxers. Last night mostly fogged over in his mind from just waking up, so he forgot she let him sleep in the same bed as him. And his morning wood was rubbing her stomach. Yeah, Naruto's mind was going a mile a minute while scared he'd be killed any second. Holy shit. Quiet. I'm trying to sleep. Snapped the fox in his head. Way to go, Kit. Kurama blinked as he saw what was going on through Naruto's eyes. After the first date too. I'm impressed. It's not like that. Naruto thought quickly. Sure it isn't. Look, I'm not judging. She's fine. I'm impressed and proud. Now bang more. Kurama rolled his eyes before he mocked and laughed. Naruto turned more before feeling Haku cuddle closer with her running against his chest, warm. Haku mumbled in her sleep, draping one of her legs over his thigh to get more in physical contact with him. At this point Naruto was scared to wake her or she'd see his mini fox. Said, Mini Fox, throbbing lightly at feeling her toned stomach against it. I need to get away slowly, he thought, reaching down to move her leg. As she opened her eyes, shit. Naruto. Haku blinked tiredly before letting out a yawn and rubbed her eyes. Morning. He spoke nervously. Morn. Haku whispered before she realized that Naruto's hand was in her thigh and felt the hardness against her stomach. Naruto. Yeah, he replied, being absolutely still when he saw that serious look in her eyes. Haku looked into his eyes, hers being cold and silent. Oh crap, she's gonna castrate me. Naruto thought quickly. Quick, kiss her and make her remember how great it felt, spoke Kurama. Naruto's fear was interrupted by Haku pinning him to the bed, her hands holding his wrists down while her hips rested either side of his hips so her panty-clad waist was pressed against his crotch. And she kissed him. His eyes widened while Kurama smirked. Or she could kiss you, that works even better. What the hell? Naruto thought in shock while she gave a low moan as she slowly pulled back. That was a rather nice way to wake up. She smiled while looking down and rubbed against the morning wood making him let out a low groan. Nice and big, feels good. She smiled and moaned. Haku. Naruto gasped and moaned. Yes. She smiled down at him. Why you're not gonna get mad? He asked nervously. Nope. Haku smirked as she suddenly stood up and walked away, ice around Naruto's wrists keeping him stuck to the bed. When did she do that? Naruto wondered. When she had her hands around your wrists and was dry humping you. Kurama shrugged. Hope you like some blue balls. Haku teased, blowing a kiss before she walked into the bathroom where she swayed her hips lightly. Naruto inwardly groaned while Kurama chuckled. Not funny, damn it. Totally is. Shows she likes you, otherwise she would have probably frozen you off. Kurama shrugged, now it's melting. But if I do she might really do that. Naruto argued. Maybe. Kurama snickered before Haku came back. She was wet from the shower, a towel wrapped around her chest and covering her knees. Miss me. She smirked while Naruto's face turned red and his morning wood felt even more painful. Yes. He mumbled while she walked over while swaying her hips before climbing on him. Haku hummed, running her hand over his chest. How are you feeling? Warm. Cold. Both. He admitted, willing himself with all his might to keep looking into Haku's eyes and nowhere else. Well then, care for me to help with that. Would you? He asked hopefully. I don't know, I'm not convinced. Haku hummed. What do I have to do? He groaned. Simple, beg. She smirked. Beg. He blinked. That's right. Haku grinned, sitting in his lap and reaching for her towel. Come on. Tell me how much you want me. He blushed and took a deep breath. Bad, really bad right now. You can do better than that. Haku teased, slowly moving her hand down near his wood. Fine. Haku, please let me touch you. Please touch me, I need it so badly. Naruto groaned in both need and irritation. Good boy. Haku chuckled and kissed him with him kissing back eagerly as she started to trail her hand over. Her fingers slipped inside his boxers, lightly rubbing him making him groan while he tried to get the ice off. You can melt it now. She smiled. Thank God. He sighed in relief before grunting as he tugged harder and managed to break it just as Haku's hand grabbed. It's warm, she said with amazement, feeling it throb in her hand as she began to rub it. I'll bet it tastes just as good. Maybe. He smiled nervously before groaning when she fished it out of his boxers and started rubbing it up and down faster. Maybe I should find out. Haku teased as she kissed down his body slowly and teasingly while Naruto gasped and gritted his teeth. Haku. He groaned happily while trying to keep himself from tackling her and going nuts on her. Haku began to kiss his member, finding that watching Naruto squirm was rather fun. I should do this more often. she thought as she began to kiss his manhood slowly and teasingly, making Naruto jump. "Your lips are soft," he said in genuine amazement. "Would you expect anything else?" She smirked. "I didn't think they'd be this soft," he moaned before feeling her tongue making him jolt. Haku almost laughed, running her tongue over his thickness and taking in the taste. "Not bad," she thought, focusing her licks around the head. "Haku." Naruto moaned. "You're so good. And you're well gifted," she thought, having to open her mouth wide to take the inside, making him groan to the ceiling before she started to slowly take it in her mouth. "So tight and wet," he thought in amazement and moaning while gripping the sheets and hearing Kurama try to give him advice. "If I ruin her fun she might get mad." Haku. "I'm close." He grunted in surprise and that made her pull her head off and grip the bottom making him groan at the sudden stop. What? Naruto groaned in shock. "If you want to come, then do it for me," Haku said passionately, looking right into Naruto's blue eyes without any form of doubt or hesitation. But you might get pregnant." "So, I might get pregnant, I might not," she said simply. "We are ninja. Our lives are too wild to care. Besides, I'm going to be your first. Not that purple-haired stripper who is going to be teaching you," she said simply, losing her towel. Naruto blushed seeing her bare chest and picked up the hint of jealousy. "Okay." He nodded, his hands resting on her hips. "I'll make it special," he promised, kissing her. She kissed back with a smile before rubbing the tip against her opening. "Here I go," she thought with slight nerves as she lowered herself, flinching for a second as her maiden barrier was broken. Naruto saw blood drip down and saw her bite her lip and tear up. "It's your first time." He blinked in shock. "Of course," she cried out in pain. Naruto flinched and held her close nervously while she shook and he tried rubbing her back. "I never thought of that." "Yeah, you'd think she would have broken it in all her training." Kurama agreed. "Just go slow for a bit, Kit, barely move, it'll help the pain fade. If I don't she'll make it hell for me." Naruto thought but followed the fox's instructions as he slowly bucked his hips. Haku hissed while slowly feeling the pain subside. "Careful," she mumbled while feeling the slowly slide up and down inside making her open up. Haku gasped as the pain finally went away, moaning as pleasure began to fill her. She started to move her hips up and down as he bucked upwards making her let out a moan. "That feels good," she moaned gently while Naruto trailed his hands around her hips and gave her a squeeze. "Yeah," he agreed, kissing her neck as he slowly increased his speed. "You feel so warm and tight, it feels perfect, Haku." "Naruto," Haku moaned, increasing the speed of their love-making by bouncing on his lap. "So beautiful." Naruto thought as he looked at her pleasure-filled face, grunting as he thrusted away. They kept at this for what felt like forever before Naruto felt his limit nearing. "Haku. I'm close," he groaned. "In me," she moaned and kissed him, coming herself. "Haku." Naruto moaned into the kiss, his kissing her womb as he moved his hips. Naruto. Haku moaned in pleasure. Elsewhere. Hinata Hyuga yawned as she awoke, seeing the sun entering her room. She stretched her arms out and started to get up and moved to get dressed for the day. "Oh Naruto," she thought aloud, wishing she had the courage to talk to him properly. She also didn't have a very good night's sleep as someone stole her hand and made Naruto pushy that she worked very hard to make. Now she had to make a brand new one which was tough since she had to pay a hefty sum just for the tiny clothing. She wasn't finished though, however. She hadn't had the time to finish. She slowly got clean clothes on before heading out of her room. She blinked as she saw every member of her family walking around with bright neon green hair. Each of them looked pissed off and tried to not say a word about it. "What?" Hinata blinked, looking into the mirror and seeing her hair was still normal. Looking back at her family she noticed all of the male members of her family were talking strangely, Like there was something uncomfortable about their waists. What's going on around here? She thought, activating her Byakugan in curiosity. And then wishing she hadn't as she saw every member of her family's underwear had been replaced with thongs. My eyes. Hinata thought in shock and pain, covering her eyes and deactivating her Byakugan. She felt like she had to pour bleach over her eyes now before feeling someone tap her on her shoulder. Lady Hinata, is something wrong? One of the Hyuga family members. I am fine. She nodded to one of her cousins and returned to her room, closing the door behind her. She was still in mental pain, when she realized something might have happened to her underwear. In a panic she ran to her drawers and opened her panties drawer. To realize nothing was out of the ordinary, all of her underwear was untouched. There was, however, an orange rose placed gently atop said clothing. She carefully picked it up and briefly had an image of Naruto smiling before it all clicked into place and she found herself giggling. She picked the rose up and held it against her chest, blushing and smiling as she giggled. Hearing several young voices laughing outside, she looked out her window to see a dozen of Naruto's foxes laughing wildly as they had a dozen bags of underwear bulging to the max and easily 100 cans of hair dye scattered all over the place. Naruto, she thought wishfully, deciding she will see him today. Nothing will stop her. With Sasuke. Said Emo sat up while trying to get out of bed to prove he could still do things as a shinobi with or without eyes. He was, of course, tripping over things and walking into everything. He was slowly getting angrier and angrier when suddenly it stopped. For the first time in his life since he lost his family, Sasuke no longer felt angry. No, instead he felt self-loathing and sadness. He hated his weakness of being unable to slam 2 steps without hitting anyone or anything. He hated that he was so weak he lost his eyes. And he was sad that this was his life now. Unable to do anything himself, forever trapped in the dark. Sad he would never get his revenge on his brother. And now he felt fear that he would forever be trapped in the dark. Damn it! Sasuke screamed as he punched the floor, crying, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. He cried, punching the floor again and again until his hands began to bleed. What am I going to do? I failed. I can't kill Itachi like this. I am a pathetic weakling. Adobe. I can't see. I'm a bat. My life is over. He soon stopped his assault on the floor and just began to cry. I am pathetic. He whispered. Sasuke-kun. 5 unknown female voices gasped, 5 sets of feet running around him and 5 sets of hands grasping at him gently. Who are you? He asked helplessly, falling back against one of the soft female bodies as they treated his hands. We are your future wives. The one he was leaning against said, her voice soft and caring with a bubbly quality to it, and from what he felt she was rather developed. I am Aim. I am Katana. The one who was bandaging his left hand said, her voice having a slightly cold edge to it, but it was still full of concern and caring. Do you need help back in bed? Asked a third with a voice that sounded mature but also childish at the same time. My name is T, by the way. Fine. He sighed. He felt no fight or energy anymore. He felt them slowly help him on his feet and guide him back over to the bed. 5 bodies holding him close, supporting him. How did you get in? It is a hospital room, Sasuke-kun. We just walked in. A 4th voice, this one slightly younger than the others and slightly said gently as they put him onto the bed. My name is Megumi. And I am Yumi. Spoke the 5th one who sounded older with a seductive purr to it. So, what was going on when we came to Sasuke-kun? Yumi asked the blind ninja, Sasuke feeling a very soft female hand run over his chest seductively. He frowned and looked to the side. Nothing. Really? You looked upset. Megumi mumbled. You can tell us, Sasuke-kun, as your new wives it's our duty to help you with anything you might need. Spoke T. Just leave me alone. He grumbled. But you seem to be all stressed up. Maybe we can fix that. Aim frowned. Or we can force it out of you. Katana smirked. Try it. He dared with annoyance. We will. Yumi giggled, undoing his belt and pulling his pants and underwear down. He jumped, feeling that while T started pulling his shirt over his head. What? He thought in confusion. Do not worry, baby, we're here to make you feel good. Aim grinned and kissed him. Sasuke felt soft lips pressed against his, a taste of cherry on them, before a slender tongue snaked its way into his mouth and battled him. He wanted to just push her off so he could wallow in his own misery, but then a part of him started to rise up from the move. I thought he'd be bigger. Katana admitted, but it's still average at least, could make us scream. I got my first taste. No me. Me. I got his pants down, so me. Ah. Sasuke gasped as pleasure sparked through his body, a soft tongue running. What? She asked innocently. Oh God. Sasuke moaned as the other girls joined in. Why does this feel so good? I must get my revenge. He thought, his determination returning. With Naruto and Haku. Haku moaned as she was face first against the bed, her raised into the air slightly. Her face and stomach were covered in cum as Naruto refused to cum inside her, so instead promised to cover her instead. Naruto, right now, had his face right next to her ear as he grunted like an animal, his hands holding hers as he slammed in and out as fast as he could, causing loud slaps to fill his apartment. Haku could barely feel her body after 3 intense rounds with Naruto, moaning again and again. Naruto. Haku moaned at the feeling, the blonde falling next to her. That was amazing. Naruto panted, finally tired. MMHMM. Haku nodded, resting her head on his chest. And I am willing to share. What? Naruto blinked. Naruto, I could barely move halfway through round 2. Haku admitted, you last forever, your stamina is too much for me. I need you to be with other girls if I ever want us to feel satisfied. Haku, that's ridiculous. Naruto frowned. You're hard again. She deadpanned, making Naruto sweat drop. Also. You are too lovable, Naruto. I know a lot of women could easily fall for you. I want you to be happy, I don't want to take you from them. Also, you need to rebuild your clan, you need more than one wife for that. But I don't want to make you feel like I'm choosing others over you. I know it's my duty, but still, what good is bringing my clan back if it means hurting you to do it? Naruto said passionately, only for Haku to kiss him. That is why I will only allow you to be with women I think we would be happy with women I approve of. Also, as long as you treat all of us the same, then you will not hurt me. She assured. But, she put a finger over his lips, trust me on this, it'll be different, but we can make it work. If that's what you want. He sighed. It is. She nodded before she yawned. That snake woman seems alright. Now I need to sleep, she said, mumbling at the end as she fell asleep. Naruto's sweat dropped while hearing Kurama roaring out in laughter, way to go. Now you just need about 4 or 5 more and you might be satisfied. Maybe you should tell your siblings about this too so they can get the wedding set up. Shut up, you perverted fox. Naruto grumbled as he went off to have a shower. Haku, that Ino girl, that Ayame noodle girl and the shy Hyuga. Plus a lovely snake girl. You've got 5 girls in your harem already, I never thought I'd be so proud as a dad. Kurama mocked and sniffed. If you keep that up, I'm gonna learn how to subconsciously send you images of random men from all over the village. Try sleeping soundly with those in your cage. You wouldn't dare. The 9-tailed fox all but yelled, clearly offended. Wanna try me? You win this round. Naruto snickered as he cried himself and dressed, kissing Haku's forehead before he left his apartment. He was hungry from his sexual escapades and there was only one godly food he wanted to fill that void with. I am coming ramen. Naruto yelled as he ran through Konoha, soon arriving at the ramen stand. He sat down and could already smell the food while his stomach rumbled. Ayame. The usual. Naruto called dramatically, but make it double. You got it, Naruto. She called back. She smiled lovingly at Naruto as she served up his meal, wanting to work up the courage to finally tell him, "Come on, Ayame, you are nearly 10 years older than him. Stop being a shy bitch and just tell him." Oh boy, that smells so good. Naruto thought, nearly drooling as several bowls of ramen were placed in front of him. Thank you for the meal. Naruto cheered before he dug in, devouring the noodle dishes like a starved man. Naruto. I need to tell you something. Ayame sighed. Botch that. Naruto asked with his mouth full, his words being, what's that? But the mouthful of noodles muffled his words. You see. Ayame said but was interrupted. Hello Naruto-kun. Hinata greeted, using her full courage to stay calm while the orange rose she found this morning was put into her hair. Hi Hinata. He smiled, taking a breath. Can I get you a bowl or two? Oh, no thank you. I actually came here to talk to you. Hinata smiled gently. Really? I don't mind buying you that bowl. He blinked. Well, I guess it couldn't hurt, I haven't had breakfast yet. Hinata admitted. Sweet. Ayame, get Hinata whatever she wants. On me. Naruto grinned. Right away. Ayame nodded, her eyes meeting Hinata's. For a moment electricity sparked between their eyes as they both knew what the other wanted to do, but said moment quickly passed. One pork ramen, please. Hinata asked as she sat down next to Naruto. Right away. Ayame nodded, serving her as quickly as she could in hopes of getting rid of her so she could confess to Naruto. So, what did you need to tell me? He asked while looking at Hinata. Hinata was filled with nerves again, doing everything she could to try and hold them back. Naruto-kun. You see. Hey Naruto, did you know the Chunin exams are coming up? Ayame said suddenly, trying to distract Naruto. No way, really. He blinked in shock. Yeah, you feel ready enough to join and take them on. Ayame nodded happily. You bet. I can't wait to try it out and show my stuff. Naruto grinned. Take that bitch. Ayame thought as she grinned at Hinata. Single quote. It's on. The heiress thought as her eyes narrowed. Underscore. With the Hokage. Sarutobi was meeting with Jonin instructors, a serious look on his face. The Chunin exams are upon us once more, this time they shall be hosted in Konoha. Which of our genin teams do you believe are ready to take these exams? I volunteer on Team 10 for the Chunin exams, spoke up his son with a lit cigarette in his mouth. Are you sure they are ready? The red-eyed Kurenai asked. Trust me, they might have their faults, but I'm sure they've got the potential to be the next Inoshika Cho trio like their old men. My team is ready to show their power of youth after their year of training. A man with black hair in a bowl cut and an obnoxiously bright and tight green jumpsuit yelled overdramatically. Considering he's got a mini clone on it, I'm not surprised, whispered one Jonin to another. Team 7 is ready. Kakashi nodded calmly, shocking a few people. Wait a second, what makes you say that? One of them is blind and can't qualify as a shinobi. Sasuke has been removed from my team and the shinobi corps until he has recovered. Kakashi frowned. Meanwhile we have a new ninja, replacing him. An ice user. Naruto and Sakura are highly skilled. I know they can do this. But one of them is new to the village, and another just lost her mother. Haku has proven to be a quick learner and has passed the test to make herself an authentic shinobi of Konoha. As for Sakura, she'll recover. She signed up to be a shinobi, and learning how to deal with the death of a loved one is something anyone can go through, but that's no excuse to think she can't handle this. And Uzumaki? Kurenai asked suspiciously. He's more than proven he's well equipped to handle dangerous situations. Kakashi frowned, and I know he is still hiding his full potential. What makes you say that? Because, even when he fought Haku, he never pushed himself. He never got overly tired. Kakashi explained gently, and he tries to keep tricks under his belt, so people do not know all he can do and so people underestimate him. I have a feeling that if Sasuke had been able to fight Haku properly, Naruto would have gone all out against Zabuza. What about you Kurenai? Saratobi asked. Yes, I believe that Team 8 is ready. She nodded. Any other teams? The Hokage asked once more. The Jonin of the civilian teams shook their teams, sighing as they knew their teams were fairly pathetic. Then if there's nothing else to come to attention, you're dismissed. The aged Hokage said, sitting back, remember to give your teams the forms. And Kakashi, I wish to speak with you for a moment. Yes Lord Hokage. They bowed, most leaving. What is it sir? Kakashi asked. Any leads on what happened to Sasuke? Saratobi asked simply. None at the moment. Kakashi admitted, the poison was washed off him, completely, when we found him. Without that we have literally zero clues. And the Uchiha have more than enough enemies. Although I am confused about why they blinded him instead of killing him. Meaning it could have been a personal attack. The Hokage nodded with a frown. I hate to even think of this possibility but. Do you think Naruto could have anything to do with this? I don't think so. Kakashi shook his head, his eyes showing no doubt about the blonde. I see you've grown fond of the boy. The Hokage chuckled. True. Kakashi nodded, I guess I wish I could have been there for him growing up, like his parents wanted. But Naruto would not pull such an underhanded tactic to attack someone like Sasuke. He would prank him or fight him directly. Meanwhile this attack method is not Zabuza or Haku's. Saratobi nodded, knowing Zabuza preceded stabbing and Haku was much subtler and wouldn't just pour acid in someone's eyes. I ask you keep an eye on Sakura Haruno. Saratobi frowned. Something seems strange about the situation. Wait, you don't think she could have been behind it, do you? Kakashi blinked lightly. It seems far-fetched I know, but do you recall where she was at the time he was blinded? No, she did arrive with the rest of us but until then I had not seen her the entire day. Kakashi frowned. And you know how much her mother hated Naruto. In fact, from investigating her house some of my shinobi believe that Sakura's may have been abusive. Saratobi sighed, and we have no idea how long this may have been going on. She has always acted odd. Kakashi agreed, seeing where the Hokage was coming from. Do you believe she has gone insane? I do not want to jump to conclusions. But there may be a problem with her psyche, yes. Saratobi nodded, where she lashes out at those she sees as a threat of some sort. We cannot just rush into this and have a Yamanaka look through her mind. We have no idea what is going on, best to observe from a distance and work out if there is a problem and if there is a problem, what said problem is. Alright, I'll see what I can notice or find out from a distance. Kakashi agreed. And make sure she doesn't know or she'll undoubtedly try to put up a mask to keep us in the dark. Saratobi reminded. Of course. Kakashi nodded, flashing an eye smile. I shall be calling Jiraiya back to train Naruto before the second half of the exams. Saratobi nodded, informing Kakashi, if he has the secret skills you believe he has, then he might need this teacher. Hopefully Naruto's family doesn't have an appetite for toads. Kakashi thought. With Naruto. Achoo. Our blonde sneezed. You alright Naruto? Asked Ayame. Yeah, someone must be talking about me. Naruto nodded as he finished his food, thank you for the meal. He grinned, putting his hands together. No problem Naruto, you're free to come on by for anything you need, anything at all. Ayame smiled, holding his hand. Thanks. Naruto chuckled with a light pink blush while Hinata frowned, which Ayame noticed and gave a smug smirk. Hey Naruto, how about we train? Hinata asked as she grasped his free arm and hugged it, squeezing it between her as she blushed brightly at her actions. I'm really doing this. Naruto blushed himself while Ayame glared at the girl at the bold move. Especially as with Naruto's arms squeezed between her, it forced her tight costume against set and showed how developed she was for her age. I'm older than her and I still look like I did when I was her age. Sure. Naruto gulped, blushing. Wow, these vixens got like D's. Imagine how big they are gonna get. Kurama thought in shock and slight perversion, especially if you got her knocked up. They'd probably double. Claim her. Shut up. Naruto blushed, putting some money on the table. Later Ayame. He waved, getting up and leaving with Hinata. Bye. She waved, but she scowled when she saw Hinata glance back with a smirk, making her grip the counter. Oh, it's on girl, it's on. Okay Hinata. Don't lose your nerve, the heiress told herself, focusing on Naruto as she blushed and smiled lovingly. Just keep it together, he's blushing so that means he likes this, don't falter. Well, here we are. Naruto nodded as they arrived at a field. So, what did you want to train on? Taijutsu, ninjutsu, genjutsu, anything really. She shrugged, but maybe ninjutsu, I don't have many. Okay, do you know what your affinity is? Naruto nodded and asked. Not really. Hinata blushed. Naruto frowned and rubbed his chin. That's gonna be tricky, especially since I don't have any of that chakra paper. Any ideas, Fox? I'd say use Fox Falls, but she is not a fox summoner and you know the rules. Only your chosen mates and children can sign it until your clan is gone. Kurama shrugged, so unless you plan on marrying the vixen then that's out. He blushed after hearing that before clearing his throat. Maybe we could try out genjutsu if you need help with it. Says the kid crap at genjutsu and has to use fox illusion jutsus instead. Not a diss, our illusions are much better than genjutsu. If you are a master. Kurama taunted. You know what, maybe taijutsu is more your style, he quickly said. Okay. Hinata blinked in confusion and blushed. So, show me what your stance is like. Naruto nodded happily. Hinata nodded and quickly got into her family's famous fighting stance. However, like always, she was doubting herself. Okay, keep cool and don't falter, show Naruto-kun you can do this. She told herself, you can do this. You can do this. Naruto himself took his own fighting stance. A few moments of silence. And he attacked. He charged in close with high speeds, kicking and large sweeping punches flying fast. Hinata quickly moved her palms out to try and block or direct them away. She was being forced to step backwards with each attack, Hinata shooting her arms forward with hard and sturdy palm strikes to try and push Naruto's attacks away. Unfortunately for her, it was clear she was uncomfortable with this style of movement. She was unable to extend her arms properly to give her attacks their full force, which allowed Naruto to overpower her counters. Come on Hinata, you can do this. Don't be useless. She told herself, remembering her long hours of training and how much she had failed. She looks uncomfortable in her own body. And her big coat isn't helping. Kurama thought and instructed Naruto. Uncomfortable in her own body? Naruto asked as he leaned back, dodging a palm strike to the face and performing an axe kick which made Hinata unbalanced. A fighting style like that, so rigid and strength-based, is made for either much taller or shorter people. Kurama explained, as it is made for their center of gravity. Plus she is not one for physical strength, making the style less effective. And she also has a large, which affects her balance even more. He blushed and momentarily stopped before Hinata's palm moved out on instinct, which hit his gut. Naruto gasped as the air left his lungs. Naruto stumbling back as he felt weaker and held his stomach. Oomph. Oh, I'm sorry Naruto-kun. Hinata gasped, running to his side. It's okay. He groaned. My chakra feels weird. What was that? Well, it's my clan's specialty, we can block chakra points to keep our enemies from using it. The brunette explained. That's awesome. Naruto smiled. I can unblock it for you if you want. Hinata offered. Nah, I got it. Naruto grinned and pulsed his chakra, breaking the single block. What? Hinata blinked. Hinata, I have a lot of chakra. Naruto shrugged. Let's use ramen for example. Okay. She blinked. If we take what you ate, a single bowl, as the average for a ninja our age. Naruto began, then our Chunin teachers would have had about 6 or 7 bowls. I guess that makes sense. She nodded, producing a mental picture. Our Jonin instructors, or at least Kakashi as I haven't really met the others, would have about 15 bowls. Okay. Hinata nodded, imagining Kakashi sitting on a bench with 15 bowls of ramen in front of him. And what I ate would be the amount I have. Naruto finished. Hinata was silent as her mental image moved to Naruto with a giant belly, lots of empty ramen bowls around you, but you had like 30 bowls. She gasped. 33. He corrected, but just because I have a lot of chakra doesn't mean anything. It just means I can use more jutsu. I need a lot of chakra confirmation to counteract the amount I have. Heck, I am literally unable to do a lot of the lower level jutsu in their normal forms. I cannot control my chakra enough. It also makes normal genjutsu very hard for me to do. Naruto further explained, besides, an Anab would have like 40 to 45 bowls and the old man would have like 70 bowls at least. He added, expanding on his comparison. Wow. She replied with a mental image. Yeah. Naruto nodded with a smile, rubbing his stomach, and you hit hard, he said, seeing how close their faces were but not pulling back. She blushed brighter while feeling her resolve crumbling. She tried to take a step back, only for her foot to slip on the ground and for her to fall against Naruto with her lips meeting his, and in that moment time seemed to slow down. Naruto was frozen, not knowing what to do. Hinata's eyes widened, unable to believe this, before her eyes closed, her hands grasping Naruto's hair and kissing him deeper. She moaned softly, not in lust but in just joy as she kissed Naruto. She did not use tongue or tried to deepen it, she just kissed him and showed her love. Naruto only hesitated for a second before he returned the kiss, his hands holding her hips gently. Way to get a kit. Kurama cheered. Her lips are so soft. Naruto thought, ignoring the fox as he kissed Hinata. As he kissed her, he opened his mouth lightly and slid his tongue out over her lips asking for entrance. She shivered and was conflicted before opening her mouth and felt his tongue go inside. Hinata shuddered and moaned gently as Naruto's tongue brushed against hers, sliding around it and rubbing it gently. I'm finally kissing Naruto-kun, she thought, her hands sliding down and running over his chest before slipping under his shirt and jacket. Whoa, I didn't think she'd be this much into it. Naruto thought, wondering if he should move his hands at all. Well, isn't this a sight? A familiar female voice snickered, Naruto and Hinata breaking apart blushing to see Anko smirking down at them. Don't stop on my account, keep on going. Anko smirked as she sat down cross-legged nearby. It was getting hot, I'm happy to watch. She winked. Anko. Naruto frowned, Hinata hiding her face in Naruto's jacket as she was blushing so much you could see it through said jacket. What? Anko shrugged, casually ripping her fishnet suit slightly so she could slip her hands under it. You two started swapping spit out here, no one made you. Hinata whimpered in embarrassment. She's got you there, Kit. Kurama thought cheekily. Shut it. Naruto thought. Maybe I could even join in. Help the shy lady out of her shell. Anko added, getting closer to the two and kissing along Naruto's neck. He blushed crimson while Hinata felt a pang of jealousy at the bold move. Don't be jealous. Anko smiled as she saw the look in Hinata's eyes, lifting her head by the chin and kissing her inches from Naruto's face and cueing Naruto and Hinata's eyes bulging out of their skulls with Hinata's face looking like a tomato. This is hot. Naruto thought. Kurama cheered. My second kiss. She is kissing me in front of Naruto-kun. Hinata thought, feeling both embarrassed because of the entire situation but also ashamed that she liked it as her eyes slowly closed and she kissed back. Ondai gotcha. Anko thought with a smile, using her tongue to open Hinata's mouth with ease and assaulted her mouth with her long, almost snake-like tongue. Hinata was moaning, unable to do anything as she got wet and felt pleasure from the simple kiss showing Anko's skill. Naruto could only gulp at the sight when he felt Hinata's hard nipples against his chest and a wetness against his leg. Holy shit. Do it, Kit. Take them right here and now. Naruto looked around, debating it lightly before he sighed. He reached down and grasped Hinata's leg, clad in dark blue pants. He ran his hand over her leg lightly, reaching up towards the junction between her legs. That's it. Anko thought happily, reaching up and unzipping Hinata's coat. Said girl moaned and felt even more wet, feeling their hands while even more bashful. Naruto gently grasped the zipper of Hinata's pants, pulling it down and then sliding her pants down her legs. Naruto gasped lightly, seeing her soft and pale yet toned and lovely legs being revealed as he pulled the pants lower. And her orange frilly panties, orange. He blinked. She was thinking of you. Teased Anko, breaking the kiss. She ran her hand through Hinata's hair, brushing against the orange rose put there. She then reached down and pulled the cost off, revealing Hinata's upper body clad in a black sleeveless shirt that went to her stomach and a long-sleeve fishnet shirt. Wow, I didn't think you liked showing so much skin underneath. You must have come prepared. I always dress like this. Hinata blushed and shuddered, Naruto rubbing her vagina through her. Yes. Hinata moaned, I love Naruto-kun and wanted to be ready for him. And cue him blushing bright red, hearing that while at the stand Ayame suddenly felt more annoyed. Well then, let's get to this. Anko grinned as she looked at Naruto. Strip Foxy, take those pants off. He nodded and started to work his clothes off while Anko kept squeezing Hinata's chest with the girl moaning. Naruto quickly stripped, facing the two and already rock hard as it pulsed slightly. Oh my. Hinata gasped and moaned. It's big, isn't it? Anko licked her lips. Let's get to work. Okay. Hinata gulped. Follow my lead. Anko nodded, making sure Hinata was sitting on her lap with Anko playing with the irises as Naruto neared them. Anko leaned forward, licking along the side of Naruto's and flicking her tongue against the head as she looked at Hinata in the eyes. You can do this. Hinata thought, kissing the tip of Naruto's and down the side. It feels so good. Naruto thought, and he moaned, looking down at the two and seeing their love-filled faces. Try petting their heads to encourage them. Kurama suggested. Naruto did as he was encouraged, reaching out and patting the heads of Anko and Hinata. He likes it. Anko praised. Lower your head, lick his balls. Maybe them. He'll love that. Hinata nodded and did as she was being instructed, kissing down Naruto's and further until she reached his ballsack. She began to lick and kiss his testicles, the taste almost bitter as Hinata shuddered at what she was doing. It is so dirty. But it makes Naruto feel good. Oh Hinata. Naruto moaned, his hands holding her hair softly but stroking her hair more. Now for the expert. Anko said, stretching her jaw before taking Naruto's into her mouth. He jumped while groaning louder and trying to keep from falling since he felt like it was on fire. She took more and more into her mouth, soon having the entire length down her throat, so thick and tasty. She thought, oh wow. Hinata muttered under her breath, looking at Anko's throat before she jumped. Anko's fingers had slipped inside her orange panties and had begun to finger the heiress, causing her to jump forward in surprise and take one of Naruto's balls into her mouth. Not even realizing her situation, Only feeling the large testicle in her mouth, she began to instinctively. Naruto groaned and gritted his teeth. It feels so good, he thought. So good, Hinata thought as she moaned, feeling Anko fingering her. They are both so innocent. Anko thought cheekily, deep-throating Naruto easily. I'm gonna really turn them into nymphos. Anko, you're so good. Naruto moaned, the wet mouth him so good. It feels so good, Hinata thought as she continued to Naruto's balls, which she could feel were swelling, as she felt her body shudder under Anko's fingers. I'm going too. Not yet, Anko said, pulling her fingers from Hinata's panties and moving away from Naruto's, making both groan in disappointment. Why'd you stop? Naruto growled lightly. If either of you finish, Anko said as she moved further back, lowering Hinata until she was lying down. She then reached down Hinata's body, spreading her legs and moving her orange panties to the side. It's like this, she added, using her fingers to spread Hinata's lips apart. Stick it in, Foxy. Naruto. Please. Hinata whimpered in need and blushed. Oh God. Naruto thought eagerly. He stared at the pink folds and felt his get so hard it hurt before moving down and rubbed it against the spot, making her moan. Seems like he wants to hear you beg for it. Please Naruto-kun, stick it in me. Hinata begged. I want to feel you inside me, ravaging me. She mumbled at the end, blushing, I want to be yours. Okay. Naruto nodded, pushing in slowly and breaking her hymen. The second he saw the pain he stopped, letting Hinata cry and adjust to the feeling. It'll be okay. Anko soothed, using the fingers that held Hinata open to rub the girls to help her feel better. Naruto, taste. She added, holding up the fingers that had not long ago been inside the blue-haired girl. Naruto nodded and took the fingers into his mouth, licking and then cleaning. Sweet. He thought, Hinata tastes sweet. I think he likes how you taste. Anko smiled, rubbing Hinata's more, making her moan. I'm ready. She moaned, the pain gone while happy Naruto didn't have her taste. Okay. He nodded, starting to move in and out slowly. Naruto. Hinata gasped and moaned as her head fell back in pleasure. If it tastes good. Anko smiled as she rolled her fishnet outfit a bit more and sat over Hinata's face. I wonder if you like my taste. She looked down at Hinata, spreading her own open. Hinata nodded, moaning as Naruto continued to her before she began to lick at Anko's. She moaned from the while hearing Anko hum. I really have Naruto inside. And I'm licking another girl at the same time too. That's it, girly. Just like that. Deeper. Anko moaned softly, reaching back and running her hand through Hinata's hair. Hinata. You are so tight. You feel so good. Naruto moaned as he put Hinata's left leg over his shoulder, holding it gently as he moved his in and out of her, quivering. 3 girls in one day. I am so proud of you, Kit. Kurama cried in joy. Anko gasped and moaned, you're learning fast. She grinned down at Hinata, twisting one of her nipples gently as a reward. Hinata jumped and moaned into the folds while trying to keep her tongue going, but with how much Naruto was making her feel good it was pretty hard. Yes. Anko moaned deeply, come here. She panted, pulling Naruto into a kiss. He hungrily kissed back with their tongues wrestling for control and started to speed his hips up. Hinata moaned, wrapping her arms around Anko's hips to pull her face closer to the snake mistress, but it was too much. She screamed at the older woman's vagina as she came around Naruto's body, feeling like every nerve was made to feel ecstasy. Naruto grunted and felt kissed into Anko's mouth more hungrily while reaching out to give her a squeeze. Anko moaned, breaking the kiss with a strand of saliva connecting their lips. She asked, seeing as Hinata came. Well, if she doesn't mind. Naruto said, looking down at Hinata. Well, Hina baby. Anko flirted as she got off the Bluebeat's face. Oh, okay. She nodded, her mind still a bit messed up from the pleasure she just felt. Awesome. Anko smirked as she tackled Naruto to the floor. You heard the lady. She purred, holding his big throbbing and sliding it into her hungry vagina. She shuddered. Naruto groaned while reaching up to grip Anko by the hips and hissing since the insides of her felt like they were trying to coil around. Oh yes, so nice and big. You feel amazing. Anko moaned deeply, kissing his chest and neck. Really get rough with me. Okay. Naruto nodded, thrusting up into her as hard as he could. That's it, Kit, really drives her mad. Kurama encouraged and grinned, very proud and excited. I chose you. Especially for this. Anko moaned as she bounced against Naruto, putting one of his hands on her and making her spank her. Yeah, that's good. So she likes that. Naruto thought, spanking her. She moaned happily, bouncing faster. You see. You and I are the same. The same? Naruto asked, on one of her nipples and biting lightly while he continued to her and slap. Holy shit. Anko moaned, her eyes rolling up lightly as she had a mini orgasm. We are both hated. For what isn't our fault? You for it, and me for my teacher. She nodded, holding his head against her chest. I want to teach you about this dirty side of the ninja world so I could have someone like me. Who cares about me? She admitted in the midst of passion, rocking against him as hard as she could. Wow, I never expected that from her. Naruto thought, now realizing more about who Anko was. He began to feel for her, both sympathy and empathy, before he decided he would do it. He would give her everything she wanted. So he moved his hips harder and faster, using all his strength while he continued his rough assault. Ah! Anko screamed lightly at the sudden increase of speed and roughness, loving it. Naruto. Hinata thought as she saw what Naruto had decided, having heard everything. She silently crawled over, watching the two make love roughly. And she began to push 2 fingers into Anko's. What? Anko moaned as her eyes widened, looking over her shoulder. We will show you love, Anko-chan. Hinata smiled and blushed, kissing her. Anko was surprised at the sudden move and moaned louder, feeling Hinata's fingers wiggle as they pushed in deeper. Hinata soon added a 3rd finger, her fingers moving faster and faster as she tried to get as deep as possible while kissing the older woman. Anko gasped and moaned, her eyes rolling up a bit. Oh Kami. I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come. Yes. Yes. Yes ss. Naruto grunted as he felt Anko come around his limit close but not quit there. He let Anko rest against him for a few moments, Anko crying happily in joy and pleasure. She soon pulled off and got on her knees, pulling Hinata close and opening her mouth. Ah. What are you doing? Hinata blinked. He hasn't come yet. Anko said to Hinata quickly, I'm opening my mouth so he can come on our faces, now open your mouth. Oh, okay. Hinata nodded in understanding, blushing. She opened her mouth and closed her eyes, letting her tongue hanging out of her mouth as far as she could while Anko did the same thing. Oh, wow. Naruto blinked, looking down at the girls before he smiled and began to jack himself off as he stood up. He grunted, soon coming over their faces as the girls moaned. Oh yeah, that's the stuff, grinned Anko licking up any cum around her lips. It's warm. Hinata whispered in amazement and pleasure, licking some from her lips, and it tastes good. Naruto smiled, falling back again as he watched the 2 girls enjoying their facials and eating his own cum off their faces. That was amazing, he muttered under his breath, looking at the 2 lovingly. Damn straight, wonder if Kumsha would be willing to let me do that to her the next time we go at it. Kurama thought happily. You 2 are not doing it in my head. Naruto glared at the sky. Kurama grumbled. Hey, Naruto. Anko asked as she crawled up to him, laying on her side with her head on his chest. Yeah, he asked. Thanks for doing this for me. She sighed. I promise to do my best as a girlfriend, lover buddy. Whatever you want to call us. To make it up to you. You don't need to do that, I want to make you happy. Naruto smiled and hugged her close. Anko was silent as she closed her eyes, holding back tears. Before she grinned, good then. Because I am a tough bitch to please. She said with a smirk. I'll do my best. Naruto laughed. Naruto-kun. I want to do my best too. Hinata whispered as copied Anko, crawling up next to him and resting her head on his shoulder. I love you. I promise, Hinata. Naruto smiled and kissed her gently. Hey, don't forget me. Anko mock pouted. Fine, fine. Naruto chuckled, kissing her as well. Poof. Well, if this isn't a sight. Kakashi said casually as he read his famous orange book, having shunshined there with a small puff of smoke. Anko yelled, launching snakes at him while covering the three of them with her large coat. Time skip. Well, that could have gone better, remarked Kakashi with scratches and bite, addressed Naruto. Haku and Sakura were meeting at a bridge far from the training ground and the crazy women, with Naruto still glaring at him. If you do that again, I can't guarantee she'll let you run off again, and neither will I. Naruto said in a cold tone, his blue eyes turning red for a second. Oh, calm down, Naruto, it was an accident. Kakashi said casually, like talking to a younger brother. I take it that something happened next. Haku asked as she put her hand on Naruto's shoulder, her and Sakura being collected by Kakashi's shadow clones. Yeah. Naruto nodded, blushing. Anko and Hinata are now in. I see. Haku nodded with a gentle smile. I approve. 3 girls. Lucky. Kakashi thought in some jealousy. Why did you call us here, Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked through gritted teeth, being smart enough to realize what the two were talking back and doing her best to hold back her anger. I wanted to let you all know about the Chunin exams coming up pretty soon. Kakashi said seriously, I have entered you 3 into it. This is your chance to advance to Chunin. And this, right now, is your only chance to drop out. What do you all say? If even one of you is not willing to do this, then we wait for the next one. You've seen what we can do, remember? Spoke Naruto with a grin. I'm not backing out at all. Zabuza-sama is confident in my abilities. I am prepared. Haku nodded. Speaking of, where is Zabuza? Naruto blinked. Elsewhere. Zabuza was laughing as he sat in a bar, his old headband replaced with a Konoha one. He was drinking from a bottle of sake, several attractive women hanging off his arms. Back with the group. He is probably fine. Kakashi nodded. What about you, Sakura? I can take on anything it has. She spoke quickly. I'm not letting me backing out cost Naruto-kun this chance to get ahead, especially if it means keeping this hussy from trying anything with him if we wind up alone. Very well. Kakashi nodded, pulling some papers out of his jacket and handing them to the 3. Then just make sure you make it to the location there in the next few weeks. Yes, Kakashi-sensei. The 3 nodded, taking the information. And Naruto, don't have too much fun now. Kakashi teased before he shunshined away. Hey! Naruto yelled. Calm down. Haku smiled, holding his hand. I wish to get to know Hinata more. Okay. Naruto smiled. Later, Sakura. Naruto, why? Sakura started only for the 2 ninja to run off. Sakura was silent, her hair shadowing her eyes as she shook. She clenched her hands so much blood seeped down before she pulled out a kunai and started to slowly stab it into the bench and make long deep cuts in it. Bitch. Sakura snarled slowly, digging the kunai slowly into the bench more and more. First it has to be a girl to replace that fool, and she's already sunk her claws into my future husband along with Hinata. The first chance I get, I'll make sure neither of them survive these exams. She thought, and that Ino. She is going to die. Meanwhile, 4 figures were approaching the gates of Konoha. One adult male, two teenage males and a teenage female. The adult wore a Jonin uniform that was slightly different with half his face obscured by a first teen male was dressed in all black, the outfit covering most of his body including his head with the cloth giving him almost cat-like ears atop his head. His face was painted white with purple markings thanks to makeup, the teen having a smirk and a large amount of bandages wrapped up on his back. The other teen had short red hair with a cold look in his eyes, his arms crossed, and had a large gourd strapped on his back with a dangerous feeling around eyes looked glass-like, empty, and he had the kanji for love was tattooed in his forehead over his left eye. The girl had sandy blonde hair in the style of two pigtails with a headband around her neck with a symbol on it that looked like an hourglass with a large black folded-up fan strapped to her back. A sandstorm was coming to the leaf. So friends, this was episode 3 of this epic and exciting story. If you enjoyed it and want episode 4 soon, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also comment down your thoughts. Do you think Naruto's Fox Sage powers will make him the greatest legend in Shinobi history? I'll see you in the next episode.